The weekends are just as short when you're in Groundhog's Day as they are anywhere else. That's the one thing I've noticed. They might even be shorter because I do nothing I do the same thing during the weekend as I do during the day. Sit on the couch and watch television. The only difference is instead of getting up and doing a show, I get up and go for a walk.
Gotcha.
It was beautiful the last 2 mornings, though, I will say that. About 55 degrees. Well, do they look foolish having? I mean, in that region, okay, they should have been ranked 4th ahead of Kansas. Yeah, Left Twix. I mean, do they look foolish having Iowa as a 9? What about Texas as an 11? I mean, blank happens. We're always so quick to point the finger at who was at fault as opposed to how about somebody played well.
Mark, you're still running everything, right?
I am. Oh, thank you for reminding me because I wouldn't have. Oh, crap. Let's get that up and running. Thanks, Raj. Just saved the day. Just saved the day. On you. All right. Window to look at this. We're on now. I am now. I don't know what you were talking about. 27 seconds to go.
Thanks, Stove.
Raj has always been very diplomatic. It's one of his great attributes. One of.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday after the first full week of the NCAA tournament. How's your brackets looking? How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you had a chance to get out and enjoy it. The weather turned. Very nice. May have a cool day or two coming up here soon. And then hopefully with the start of the baseball season that we can, get rid of that word from our vocabulary for about 8 months. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, David. Good morning. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well. All right, quite frankly. Enjoyed the hoop. And obviously we haven't had as many upsets as in past years. Some people craving for more madness. Don't know, people are already now concluding that we'll never have madness again. We'll see.
We'll have different madness. I think we'll have, are we going to have the unknown team get into the Sweet 16? The odds of that are diminishing with transfer and NIL. But to say we didn't have madness, I mean, Iowa stroking a 3 late to take down the defending champs, the number 1 seed Florida Gators, the Santa Clara, Kentucky game. If you don't call that madness, then I don't know what the definition of madness is.
Man, was that madness.
Right. So there was madness. It's just different madness, David. That's the way I look at it.
I agree. But if you're wanting a bunch of double-digit seeds, second year in a row in which the top 4 seeds all made it out of the first round. And, what do we have in terms of the teams that were not by seeding expected to get to the Sweet 16? We only have 4 of them. Right. And one of them, a lot of people liked as a 5, more than the 4 that they were going to play in the second round, because the 5 was St. John's. Tennessee is 6, Iowa 9, Texas an 11. So obviously not a mid-major amongst the group. And, a 1 seed, 2 3s, and a 4 didn't live up to their Sweet 16 seeding. That's it so far.
Well, I must say, David, you know me, Mr. Chalk. I actually took a few shots this year with some different teams. And I'm in a pool. I'm in the same pool every year. It's with my cousin, who is also my godson. There's a big age difference between Cody and I, and he lives out west. And he, like me, is a Spartan grad, and we stay in touch regularly. And he sent me the link to it. And I always just fill out my bracket. The same one I filled out on Thursday, I replicated it perfectly. But as you remember, on Thursday, David, I said to my wife, I said, honey, fill out a bracket. Just
Right.
for you-know-what and giggles. We'll have a little fun bet.
Right.
And up until Texas Tech lost last night to Alabama, and Virginia lost to Tennessee, do you know who was in first in this bracket that pays over $1,000 to the winner?
Of course.
My wife.
It's
She is now
guaranteed.
T5, and she has Duke. And of all the people that are in the top 10, she has the most points of anyone that has Duke winning. So if Duke were to win, the likelihood is she will bank. I'm T22. So far out of it, it doesn't matter anymore. But she had a chance to get 15 of 16 Sweet 16s in. Now, she ended up with 13, pretty respectable. I ended up with 12. I don't know where you were, David. But I just want to let everybody know that my wife is kicking my tuchus in the bracket buster pool.
I'm at 11, kicking myself because I didn't go with Arkansas after talking them up for 2 months, kicking myself because I originally had Tennessee beating Virginia and then let my, Rick Barnes bias take over for me. Plus, Virginia had done nothing but win close games, so I figured they'd pull one out again in the second round before going quietly into the good night. The only thing I get to rest my hat on is I did pick Texas to come out of that. I thought it was a soft little pod there. Gonzaga was overrated. BYU hadn't played well for 2 months. I thought there was a chance for an upstart to come out of that little pod, and so far Texas has. So that's
But
about
let's
it.
focus on the Gators, who went down last night to Iowa.
Yeah.
After setting a record with the biggest victory in a first-round game ever. And then they played Iowa and got themselves into a deep hole. And they fought their way out of it. And here we are with the game. And you can point to early parts of the game, what they didn't do offensively. You can the game I thought was horrifically called late. Too many ticky-tack fouls on both sides. It took the flow completely out of the game. But I don't know if that benefited anyone, David, because the guy who stroked the 3 got in foul trouble early and didn't play most of the second half. So there were a lot of different things you can point at. But I want to just focus on the last play of the game. That was horrific defense by the Florida Gators. Todd Golden needs to be ashamed of himself.
Well,
no. You don't press there. You don't press there. That's on him. He forced the action in that game when it wasn't necessary. He doesn't press. He doesn't put people in the front court. Then they don't have a fast break coming down. That's on the coach. I'm sorry. That was his fault.
I don't believe for a second that Golden had the point guard's man going to trail him through a double screen. Okay, that I can't believe that Golden would want. I mean, obviously they didn't want the ball in his hands, and Iowa was hell bent on getting the ball in his hands. Iowa's play, by the way, was to get the ball in his hands, get it across midcourt, and call timeout. And then said to him, "Well, if you see something, go for it." But once he had his defender, Mark, not in front of him, not forcing him a certain way on the court. Once he had him behind him, I mean, then, quite frankly, it's kind of like the Olympic play that we won the gold medal on. Once they got it past the blue line and McKinnon went for the reach in and he didn't get it, we had numbers. And Iowa, once he inbounded the ball with the defender behind him, they had numbers. And then, yes, it looked horrible, but I can't believe, okay, and if so, then he deserves all of the blame. Okay, but I can't believe that he had the point guard's man trailing him going through a double screen.
Okay, I'll give you all of that. Why are they pressuring? I know your point. They want to take the ball out of his hands, and Iowa's going to do everything they can to get the ball in his hands. So what are you doing if you're down? Fine. It was a tie game. You do not need to be pressuring the front court there. You don't. It's a bad decision.
Well, they were up 2 with 8.9 to go. Okay. Supposedly this was Florida's plan. And don't get me wrong, the defense was horrible. I mean, I do not want to in any way say anything other than it was, as Charles Barkley would say, horrible. Okay. But apparently this is what Florida was thinking. Keep the ball out of the point guard's hands. That's why they were pressuring. Their plan was make him inbound it to somebody else, and then they were going to foul that guy and make him go to the line down 2, shooting 2 pressure free throws, not thinking that the guy wouldn't make both, and that if he did, they'd have 5 or 6 seconds to run a final play. That's apparently what their strategy was.
It's a terrible strategy. Up 2. It's a terrible strategy up 2. So, is this NC State and Valvano trying to foul the guy at all times?
I was going to say this would have been right out of Jimmy V, in which, final 30 seconds of a region final tie game and he fouls.
First off, I think they were in the double bonus there, so they are shooting 2 for sure.
No doubt.
Because the fouls were called at an alarming rate in that basketball game. Terrible officiating job. I don't think it had anything to do with the outcome, but I think it was a lousy officiated game.
But there were 2 guys on the court for Iowa who hadn't played many minutes, okay, and supposedly the best that the media could get out of the Florida coaches and players, but that actually the plan was pressure the inbounds and pressure the point guard so that the ball couldn't be inbounded to him. And then when the ball went to an inexperienced player, when he got to half court, foul him and make him shoot the 2 free throws, having to make both to tie.
The best laid plans of mice and men blew up in their face.
Yes.
Because the screen worked, the point guard got the ball, it forced 10 to come up. He's got to play him, leaving the guy wide open in the corner for a 3 who's a shooter. So every part of it was horrific to me.
Awful. Once the ball was successfully inbounded to the point guard on the dead run, Florida was screwed because either he was going to have an uncontested layup or a wide open, and the shortest 3 on the court too, the short corner 3. I mean, it's the best 3-point shot on the floor.
So, I mean, I feel badly for you Gator fans out there because the way the end of that game went was just brutal. And they worked so hard to get back in it, worked so hard to get the lead. And to me, I get what their plan was. I don't like the plan.
And that's fair.
You can explain the plan to me until 10 o'clock. I still don't like the plan.
I think that's fair. It was fascinating strategy because, what have we said many times? Don't let him shoot a 3 at the end. Don't let him shoot a 3 at the end. Apparently, Todd Golden was going to, at the very least, make them shoot 2 free throws to tie.
Not let him shoot a 3 when you're up 3.
True.
He tried to invent a whole new philosophy. But I will say, it does give us some fun in that region because Iowa is now playing Nebraska.
There we go, baby. There we go.
And 2 of the viral things from the weekend were the High Point announcer in the shot to him. And by the way, as two guys who have done play-by-play their whole life, he had a great call.
Yeah.
He really did. All the way through, he was great. But what was better was not just the first win, but the second win for Nebraska, when you could see their play-by-play voice of over 40 years celebrating Nebraska getting to the Sweet 16.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Guillermo, I think you're a Gator fan, if I'm not mistaken. You're still just so happy about Venezuela. It doesn't even matter. Your world is just fine.
Empire, Kucherov should win the heart. He should.
And I'll make a bet with you right now. If the season were to end just like it ends right now, he won't.
I would like to take that bet, but all those people voting for McKinnon versus Kucherov, they're going to vote McKinnon.
Yep.
They shouldn't.
I agree with you. But one guy is, wait for it, Russian.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. I know.
Empire,
I know you're right.
You're totally right. You got a lot of Canadian voters.
Yeah.
A lot. And, I don't know if playing in Tampa helps, hurts, or is indifferent.
Well, Wisconsin in the Final Four, Guillermo. That was out there.
I had Florida in the final game. I'm Dunsky. Oh, well. That shorty by Kucherov was pretty. That pass was ridiculous. And the catch of the pass might have been better.
My goodness. What were people complaining about the hit for? It was that's hockey.
On McDavid?
Yeah.
I mean, a perfect hit on a guy breaks down and it played it perfectly. Took the man, hit him in the chest, knocked him on his ass.
Took a
shoulder. You know what I'm
hit
complaining about? How bad my team is. They're out as of today. Out. And as good as Gibson played, he lets in a softie to lose.
Oh, yeah, Empire. No, McDavid's quotes about the Lightning were very revealing.
I don't know about that, Empire. If he goes, I think he'd rather go to Toronto or New York.
Although if I was him, I'd go there. Golly.
But I understand what you're saying, but you're going to an already great team. So that's kind of like Durant going to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you go to Chicago, Detroit, Toronto, there are so many other teams you could go to and be a hero. Not that I think he'd ever go to Detroit, but you know the point that I'm making.
Well, I agree. I just think he'll be in his early 30s. He will have put in 12 years, and it's a pretty good lifestyle, and the taxes are kind of nice too. Much better travel in the East. I'm with you.
Oh, yeah.
If he went to Detroit, oh my goodness. Yeah, if he were, when he leaves, he probably should pick an original six. Because then the Canadian media will give him a largely.
As long as it's not
pass.
Montreal.
Although their draft's 33 years.
I understand.
You'd take him on the Rangers, David.
Yeah, totally. But right now, the Rangers organization is so bad, I don't think they could get a premier player to agree to go play for them. I wouldn't if I was a premier player.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Bobby Reagan of Barstool will join us in a little more than an hour. Talk about the first week of the tournament. Mo Cassara, former coach, will go through that final sequence both ways in the Iowa-Florida game. I actually thought, by the way, the Florida player had a chance to get off a decent shot, and I thought he went the wrong way. Doug Gottlieb pointed it out on X also. He said, when he was about 35 feet from the basket, if he kind of cuts in, he thinks he's going to get into the lane. But
I think
anyway.
I'm going to give Iowa's defense a little credit there, David. I thought they were forcing him that way. I mean, he was damn near triple teamed and they were forcing him to the outside. So I understand your point. I don't think it's as easy as him just crossing three guys over.
Oh, true. And at least, Iowa did something that Florida didn't do in the same situation. They made the court smaller on the guy with the ball. And it paid off. It's funny, since we have very few teams that are not seeded 1 through 4 in the Sweet 16, the prevailing storyline is that basically we have very little madness. Okay, I'm not even going to argue it with you. But we do have 2 schools who have made the Sweet 16 for the first time this century. St. John's and Iowa both had not made the Sweet 16 since 1999. Both these schools are pretty damn proud of their basketball heritage. All right. And they hadn't been this century to the Sweet 16, all the 15 seeds doing all the madness that they've done in the last 12, 15 years. The George Masons and VCUs of the world as 11 seeds. FAU, for goodness sakes, in a Final Four. And Iowa and St. John's couldn't make it to the second week, Mark.
Well, and let's be, I mean, before Patino got there, the Johnnies kind of fell off the map for a long time.
Yeah.
So he brought them back. And I mean, let's just stick with the Johnnies in Kansas. Okay, I get it. It's two programs with a lot of heritage. There was no madness in that game. Did you watch that game? I mean, the Johnnies have them armbarred the whole second half and then fall apart. I mean, they're a really good defensive team. They can't get a rebound. They can't.
Nope.
And Kansas, methodically, in their best player made plays, but other guys from Kansas are making plays. They're getting rebounds and they're scoring. And they forced St. John's to win at the buzzer. And that's not madness. Just because High Point isn't winning, is it still not madness? Was it still not a terrific finish? What is it that you want? Quick sidebar. My daughter's not even anywhere near college age yet, but she is already, in my opinion, going to High Point. I don't know if you've seen anything about that school.
Yeah.
The campus. I actually went. I mean, this is what a tournament does when a team like that wins. Because here I am going, what is this? I saw a post on X of the school hiring a charter bus to send students across the country. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Let me look at a little bit about High Point. Here's some fun facts about High Point. They have a service that takes you to the airport. It costs $95 for a student to take a transfer from campus to the airport to fly out of town. However, if you wear anything High Point, the trip is free because they are trying to show their students the importance of branding.
Ooh.
They have an airport, a plane like seat area on campus to teach kids how to approach executives on a plane and strike up a conversation. But the most important thing they have, it's not the 99% rate of putting someone into a job who graduates from High Point. They've got an ice cream truck on campus, and it's part of the food plan. The ice cream truck just drives around. And if you want an ice cream, do you know what you can get? An ice cream. I'm a High Point fan for life.
By the way,
okay, I'm done.
Longtime friend of the show, Mark Lai. Okay, his daughter, the very good golfer, she's golfing at High Point. All right. You and I going back to our Southwest Florida roots. Okay. Chelsea Bamberry, first a player, then a longtime assistant coach. She's been the women's head coach at High Point for about 7-8 years now, has gone to the tournament like 5 times. All right. By the way, how great was it? The head coach of the men's team is married to one of the top assistants on the women's team. And Chelsea Bamberry said to her, we can prep for our first round game. You got to be there. Okay. And so she was courtside when they pulled off the upset of Wisconsin. So, yeah, I'm with you. A lot to like about High Point right now. Did you hear Calipari?
Oh, yeah.
After the game, in which he said the only thing that's mid-major about this program is the size of it. He goes, their arena's amazing. Okay. They might spend the most money of all the mid-major programs that are in this tournament. He goes, the atmosphere at their games is astounding. He goes, it's great. Basically, Calipari couldn't rave enough about High Point.
He used the line that coaches win games, administrations win championships, and their administration is terrific. And that he basically told the college basketball world, get used to High Point being in the tournament.
Right.
And David, you and I are both Southwest Floridians. You had a soft spot for FGCU for years. You did their games forever. You always said they could be the Gonzaga of the South. They can't. We know the reasons why, although there's some rumors that somebody with a lot of money may drop some in their lap, so we'll see. But I think now for a school to do that, you have to be a private school. And I think a school like High Point is, we've watched Liberty. You may not agree with some of the things that Liberty's about, but you can't question their money.
Right.
And High Point has the money and lots of it. So I think Calipari just kind of told everybody, a little foreshadowing, and said, get used to this team being in the tournament.
But Arkansas took them out in a terrific second round game. Game was tied with about 2.5 minutes to go. So there's been some very good games in this tournament, even if the seedings have gone almost exactly to plan. There have been some very good games in this tournament, but now what we told you was going to happen has largely happened. And man, have we got a Sweet 16 lined up for you. Couple of outsiders, but they're Power 4 programs, so how big of outsiders are they really, especially in this day and age of college hoop?
Iowa with a big upset of Florida, Texas an 11 seed getting in, Tennessee a 6 getting past a 3 seed. So, yeah, there's a couple that are, St. John's in a 5-4 game, won a great game. I don't think any of us expected Nebraska to be there. They are still a 4 seed, though.
It's a great story. And then between Nebraska and Iowa, one of them's going to be in the Elite 8. Nebraska had never won a tournament game before. Iowa hadn't been in the Sweet 16 since the Clinton administration. That's just awesome. And this just in, is the Big Ten having a good tournament or what? Damn.
6 of the Sweet 16 teams from the Big Rig. And is anybody playing better than the Wolverines right now? I know Arizona may want to raise their hand and say, look at us. But Michigan looked tough to beat yesterday. But you've got to continue it for 4 more. Miller and Moulton, Mo Cassara, Bobby Reagan coming up on the show. But next, the starting 5. Thanks for listening.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
PA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
David, do we have a poll question that is highlight of the tournament so far? And, we can put High Point over Wisconsin, Gators getting upset. Or, Iowa's buzzer beater, however you want to phrase it. St. John's, or the Big Ten. You know, I mean, I'm just trying to think out loud here.
Give me a second.
Or was there enough madness for you? Yes or no?
Do you want to get into whether or not certain coaches should be fired? Hubert Davis at North Carolina, Mark Pope at Kentucky.
I'd like to be a little bit more bright and cheery than that, but I mean, it's our nature. It's certainly, you know, I mean, it does fit with the show, David.
The Big Ten has 6 teams in the Sweet 16. Will the Big Ten win? Will the Big Ten team win the national championship?
Sure. And I do think we could table that one for Wednesday or Thursday when we get started again, too. I would even write it down.
Okay.
That's the only, like, that's why I just wanted to, if we win highlight of the tournament so far, because that's dead after today. That's my only. Oh, no, DC, I was bitching about it last night. It had me bothered. Fortunately, the 2 games were mostly blowouts late last night. What do you think? Do you think the Red Wings will make the playoffs? Oh, sorry, wrong state.
If you didn't watch the madness this weekend, what did you watch?
Best part of the tournament so far is Big Ten rolling, High Point upset, Nebraska in the Sweet 16. It hasn't been good.
Okay.
Or I haven't enjoyed it.
Does Kentucky Santa Clara get a mention?
Ooh. Final 10 seconds were pretty good.
Yeah, whichever one you want. I need one more. I mean, I'm with you. I loved that game.
I would put that up there instead of you don't think it's any good.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Bobby Reagan, an hour from now. Mo Cassara, 2 hours from now. On this Monday, first week of the tournament in the books. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Do we have a madness question?
Well, I have one, and I've got a lot of resistance during that break. So I don't know if you like it, but I typed it. So there's a point in which I quit caring. The best part of the tournament so far is Big Ten rolling, the High Point upset, Nebraska in the Sweet 16. It's a lot of Big Ten stuff right there, unfortunately. Or the Kentucky Santa Clara finish. I could take that out and put the Iowa Florida finish and make this very Big Ten centric. I think I've liked the tournament. I like when the good teams win. I want the best teams moving to the Sweet 16. I liked the High Point upset. Loved the end of the Kentucky Santa Clara game. I might have fouled. That's just me. They were up 3. But it was a long shot. It was a lucky shot, and it went in, and then they were done. That might have been just me rooting for my bracket. I have no idea. But at that point, my bracket was about done. So those are the 4 I've got now. I can throw it up there if there's a nominee you have to take off one of those. I'll listen. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, 21,000 is the number. Miller is the key word if you've never texted the show before.
So Iowa taking down Florida falls under the Big Ten rolling.
Yeah, right? I guess it does. Yeah. Okay. I could take the Big Ten rolling off and just simply put, if you want to put games, put, Iowa buzzer beater against Florida. I've got no problem with that.
All right. Well, whatever you decide, that's what we'll go with. At that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. 20 minutes before the hour. Time now for
the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting 5.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. We'll start with the madness. And it's all over for the Gators. Who'd have thunk it? Given the 1 seed, given the Tampa sub-regional. It was a home game for them, for goodness sakes, and they couldn't beat Iowa, who put them in a 14-point hole. Gators dug themselves out of it, had a 3-point lead in the final minute, had a 2-point lead with 9 seconds to go. But Alvaro Fulgaris buries the short corner 3 with 4 seconds to go, and Iowa holds off Florida 73-72. The first 1 seed to go down in the tournament are the defending national champion Florida Gators.
Pretty cool that kid's mom was at the game. He's from Spain. It was only the 3rd game his mom's ever been in person for. Just, a nice touch to the game for the Hawkeyes hero there.
If you remember, in the first half, Fulgaris and a Gator player got into it. Fulgaris threw a punch at the Gator player. He did not land the punch. Todd Golden wanted him ejected. According to Golden, the official said to him, yes, he threw a punch, but he didn't make contact. Therefore, we're only going to give him a flagrant. Kept him in the game. Turned out to be a pretty big decision by the officials. Next up for Iowa, Nebraska, who after not winning a tournament game ever has won 2 in 72 hours. Iowa, Nebraska in the Sweet 16. It ended for Miami yesterday at the hands of Purdue. Boilermakers advanced to yet another Sweet 16 under Matt Painter, 79-69. Next up for Purdue, Texas. That's a nice draw for the Boilermakers. All right, let's give Rick Barnes some credit. He took the Vols further in the tournament than what the seeding said he should go. Tennessee, the 6th seed, upset Virginia 79-72. Tall order ahead for the Vols. They've got Iowa State in the Sweet 16. Speaking of Iowa State, man, did they manhandle Kentucky in the second half. 82-63. So much so, some people calling for Kentucky to be 2 and done with Mark Pope. Many of the same people calling for North Carolina to be, I think it's 5 and done with Hubert Davis. What is interesting is Hubert Davis's radio show, scheduled every Monday, final one was supposed to air today, has been postponed.
You're in charge, David. One, both, neither. Who would you fire?
Okay. Just give me a few seconds. I think they're both jobs that you can't just fire the coaches and not have the replacement lined up. Okay, so to me, it is, okay, who are we going to get? Because I need them. I need the contract signed in the drawer before I do this. I'm not getting rid of Pope. 2 years is not enough. He went to the Sweet 16 last year. Okay, obviously this year's roster, he got it wrong. Okay. Hubert Davis, that's an interesting one in this sense. How good of a coach do you think he is? I mean, obviously goes to the title game his first year. And then after that, 4 years in which a lot of people think every single one of them was underachieving. He's got a great recruiting class coming in. Would that be impacted by getting rid of them? I'd keep them both.
And both of them suffered big injuries. Kentucky lost every point guard they had during the season. Kentucky or UNC lost their best player just prior to the tournament. I mean, that does have to be taken into consideration.
I think so. They're both alums. I would keep them both. But that's me. Arizona, and they actually controlled this game by more than the final score. They beat Utah State 78-66. Next up for the Wildcats, Arkansas. St. John's beat Kansas at the buzzer 67-65. Next up for the Johnnies, Duke. UConn handled UCLA 73-57. UConn and Michigan State, Hurley and Izzo in a Sweet 16. By the way, it's the late game Friday. If you're interested in the game, get some rest. You're going to be up till at least midnight.
Thank you. In another shocking news, Mick Cronin blamed NIL for losing to UConn following the game. Seems to be a theme. You are at UCLA, by the way, the most storied basketball program in the history of college basketball. Just saying.
I think Mick might need a change of scenery. What do you say?
You know what Mick needs? A Snickers.
He may need what Robin Williams was talking about at the end of Good Morning Vietnam. Alabama will face Michigan next. The Tide beat Texas Tech by 25 in a 4-5 game. Jerry McNamara, the next coach at Syracuse, he did a great job at Siena and nearly beat Duke in the first round. Our buddy Joey Cantans, who was an assistant at Florida State and FGCU, last 5 years he's been the head coach at Daytona State, a preeminent JUCO program. They're in the Sweet 16 of the JUCO tournament. He was named the head coach at FIU over the weekend. And Brian Hodgson, the former South Florida head coach, officially leaving for Providence. Women, by the way, half of the Sweet 16 is set, and it's 1 through 4 seeds. All 8 of them. Yep. 2 9s and a 10 won in the first round. So if you think the men's tournament is chalk, I mean, the men at least had 4 double-digit seeds win in the first round. The women had 1. Golf, PGA Tour, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Last week, he bogeyed 18 to lose the Players by 1. This week, he birdied 18 to win the Valspar by 1. I love the fact that midway through the round, he was so fed up with his playing partner's slow play that he played out of turn after getting permission to do so. Yes, we need more of that. LIV, they were in South Africa, big crowds. Bryson DeChambeau goes back-to-back, wins his second one in a playoff also, this time over John Rahm. LPGA Founders Cup, Hooju Kim held off Nelly Korda to win by 3. Speaking of Kordas, her brother, Sebastian Korda, beat Carlos Alvarez 6-4 in the third of the Miami Open. How about that? College hockey, the field of 16 is set. The top 4 seeds are Michigan, North Dakota, Michigan State, and Western Michigan. No BU, no BC, no Northeastern, no Minnesota in this tournament.
But a UConn.
But a UConn.
But a UConn.
Yep.
I don't even know when they started playing Division I hockey. It wasn't that long ago. And I believe it's St. Thomas in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
They were D3. And someone said, I don't want you to be D3 anymore. Here's however many $1 million. They just missed the tournament. It just proves that all sports revolve around NIL money now. And if you got someone with the bankroll, you can change the fortunes of a program overnight.
Very quickly, we talked about the St. Thomas story a couple years ago. They were a D3 power. The conference they were in kicked them out of the conference because they were too good. No one else would take them. They literally had to go D1 in order to have a place to play. So they raised the money. They've gone D1, and they're threatening to make NCAA tournaments 2 years removed from D3 in a bunch of sports. NHL, 9 games last night. Lightning went 3-0-1 on the road trip. They lost in overtime at Calgary 4-3, but the Sabres lost in overtime at Anaheim 6-5. So the Lightning, with 2 games in hand, remain 4 points behind Buffalo. Carolina beat Pittsburgh 5-1. Penguins are in the playoffs, however. Islanders beat Columbus 1-0. Both those teams are a point ahead of the Wings, who right now are the odd team out in the East. Nashville beat Chicago 3-2 in overtime. The Preds are in the playoffs, 2 points clear of the final wild card spot. 2 points ahead of the Kings, who lost in overtime at Utah 4-3. Colorado over Washington 3-2 in overtime. Ovechkin scored his 1,000th goal if you count playoffs. Vegas over Dallas 3-2, so the Avs lead in the division is 5 points. Winnipeg beat the Rangers 3-2 in a shootout. 5 NBA games. Knicks beat the Wizards by 32. T-Wolves snap an 18-game losing streak in Boston, beat the Celtics 102-92. Denver, tied for 4th in the West, beat Portland by 16. Sacramento over Brooklyn by 4. Phoenix 120-98 over Toronto. Finally, Tyler Reddick's 4th win already on the NASCAR circuit. Brad Keselowski led 142 laps, but Reddick led 77, including the final one, to win at Darlington. Ross Chastain's tough start continues. He finished 16th. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know here on Miller and Moulton, brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism.
I think that was important to a lot of us, David, that segment. Because if you're like me, you didn't watch any of it over the weekend. I mean, I wasn't even aware the NBA played this weekend.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware there was a NASCAR race.
Mm-hmm.
I was aware of the golf, even though I didn't watch a second of it. I saw Bryson make 2 amazing shots over the weekend. A 300-yard 3-wood on a par 5 to get home in 2 to about 9 feet, and holing a chip shot. That was pretty impressive because it never touched the ground. He jarred it. That was kind of cool. But I watched the Wings and Bruins. I mean, that's what I do, but that's the only hockey that I watched. Paid attention to scores, but I was locked into the tournament for 4 days.
Bryson in tears after the win. And when asked about it, he said, I got a lot going on in my life. I can't really talk about it. But yeah, it's been hard. And I'd just like to thank everybody who supports me. That'll be his last action, by the way, till the Masters.
Miller and Moulton. Bobby Reagan from Barstool next hour.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
NCAA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Koi, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Espanol.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
DC, I'm aware and I'm disgusted by it. I have to admit, it is so damn early. So damn early.
Whew.
Is the Frozen 4 in Vegas this year? Did I see that right?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's in Vegas.
Curious how it does.
Well, our dream's never going to happen.
Yeah, it only makes too much sense.
Well, considering there really are, would you have Arizona State? I mean, how many teams do you actually have west of the Mississippi? And there'll be more coming, but not many.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was texting with Frank from Immokalee, who says hello, by the way, David. And he mistook me when I said that Hoffman apparently likes the coach. He thought I meant the hockey team. He's like, I think with money, they could be a lot better than Alabama Huntsville ever was. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I meant basketball. He's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to let our TV expert break that down for you next, Stove, because it was a concern of mine. And my expert in the TV business laid it out for me in a series of texts yesterday. And since I've seen several of you complain about it, and rightly so, we will explain. No reason not to. We'll get back into the brackets heavily at 38 with Reagan. So
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, first week of the men's tournament completely in the books. The women's tournament, the first week, is in the books after tonight. Very few upsets in both tournaments. Just 4 double-digit seeds made it out of the first round in the men's tournament. But, did we have some upsets yesterday. One biggie. Down go the Gators. The defending national champions playing about, an hour and a half from their home in Tampa? And Iowa takes them out. Iowa, which had perfected, Mark, you know this. You follow Big Ten basketball pretty closely. Iowa was a pretty good team this year, but nobody lost close games like the Hawkeyes this year.
no, they were snatching defeat from the jaws of victory like nobody else.
I mean,
and it looked as if it happened again.
Yeah.
I mean, David, it was, I don't know how much time was left in the game, but it was about 8:45 when you and I were texting about something that bothered me. And you answered me and then just finished it with Gators in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think they were down like 14.
Yeah, it was either 51-39, 53-39, something like that. We're like, 2 segments into the second half, and this doesn't look good for the Gators. And then, of course, they raised their hand and said, hey, if it's okay, we're going to be the Florida Gators for the next 20, 30 minutes. Is that okay? And next thing you know, the Gators came all the way back, and they had a 4-point lead. And you're like, they'll finish it.
And looked to be in control at that point. And then the shot selection down the stretch was not great for Florida. Credit Iowa's defense. I mean, they did play terrific defense down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida seemed to have some advantages inside. They didn't get the ball inside enough for me. They were chucking up some threes that, they were getting late into the shot clock. And when you do that against a good defensive team, you can't just turn it on with 7 seconds left in the shot clock, David. To me, that's when you keep running your offense, and the Gators decided not to.
All right, gut feeling. So Florida's up. Let me get the 1, I think. 1? Yeah, they're up 1. 32 seconds to go. They miss. They grab the offensive rebound. Now, remember, you only get 20 seconds after you grab the offensive rebound. So they can't dribble out most of the rest of the game. But they could have dribbled it out, took an extra 10 or so seconds off the clock, and then run their set with under 20 seconds to go in the game. They grab the rebound instinctively. The rebounder looks, sees a guy open for 3, throws it to him. He missed the 3. Now, as it turned out, Iowa grabs the rebound. Gators get a stop. Iowa has to foul. Florida hits 1 of 2 free throws. They're up to 8.9 seconds to go. Then we all know how it played out. I was just curious, okay, were you okay with the instinctive play, 1-point lead, grab the offensive rebound, saw the guy near him open for 3, and just said, here, and he took it? Didn't want to work the clock. He said, nope, I'm open. Give me the ball.
David, in the moment, because the team that I dislike more than any team in college basketball does this better than anyone. Duke. No team gets offensive rebounds, kicks it out for 3, and buries them more than the Blue Devils to me. And when it happened, I went, "Ooh, ball game." He was wide open.
Yep.
It wasn't a contested 3. It wasn't
not at all
a bad shot. They fired up, in my opinion, a bunch of bad threes in the final 3.5, 4 minutes. I didn't like their shot selection, but that one I was okay with, because, and maybe that's where, and I don't know, that's where a coach says, don't shoot, hold it, because they're on that side where the coach can scream at the player and the player can hear. But in the moment, I was not, David. I truly wasn't.
I was fine with it because they were only up 1. Okay, so, to end 32 seconds left when he grabs the rebound, they can only run 20 of it off. Okay, so Iowa's going to get the ball back. So I didn't have a problem with it, but I was just,
right. And they were up 1 there. They weren't up 2. They stop Iowa. They get the rebound. They're fouled. They go up 2.
Right. They only made 1 of 2 free throws. They had a 2-point lead, 8.9 seconds to go. Then we all know how it played out. By the way, just throwing this out there, Florida had no timeouts left. I think college basketball needs to figure something out. Florida basically got a timeout at the end of the game because, they had to take a look at the clock
right.
Just exactly how much time's left. Okay, here's the thing. And seriously, they can't allow the coaches and the players to talk to one another. If you don't have a timeout, Florida got a huge break there. They drew up a play, for goodness sakes. And I think they got to figure something out there. Like the players have to stand, the middle of the court. Seriously. They have to stand in the middle of the court. You can't
go
to
the hockey icing, and they got to come down to the one end.
The only thing that could possibly happen is while you're standing here, the folks with the water can run out and hand you some of the squirt bottles. I'm not kidding. I thought Florida got a huge break there, and I didn't care which way it went. Okay, I had no dog in the fight. All right, but I just thought, man, this ain't right. They're out of timeouts. They're getting a timeout with 4 seconds to go. This is huge.
And Iowa then took one.
Right.
So, in essence, they, because the announcers thought originally that Iowa had called a timeout. That was not the case. And they quickly corrected themselves. The officials were checking the clock, and it was a big difference. It was 3.7 to 4.5 seconds on the clock. It needed to be checked.
Yeah. No doubt. But I also think, by the way, these things could take a lot less time than this. We all saw it the first time they could do it, right? The ball goes through the basket, the clock. We all immediately go, 4.5. How long should this take?
Well, and David, this is where they've got enough officials. They could have a retired official. This could be somebody that's, whether it's at the scorer's table or upstairs in a booth, just tell 4.5, guys.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. I want to get to one other thing that was a little bit more bothersome to me, and you explained it well. And I started this out because I texted David that I simply said to him, "Why do we have a 9:45 start on Sunday? That seems late to me, especially when we know 9:45 means closer to 10, because it's the second half of whatever pod they're in, and they never start these games on time." And, we had the Michigan game had its own window. The Michigan State game had its own window. It wasn't until the Duke game, right, that we had started getting games towards the middle of that. We had a second game start.
Do you mean yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, the first two games were shown. The St. John's Kansas game was shown, and there were one or two other games.
That's what it was. Yep, I'm sorry.
Right, and that was a 5:15 scheduled tip. But yes, CBS, here's the problem, okay? CBS pays a ton of money, and they're like, yeah, we need a couple of exclusive windows. So on Sunday, we need the first two windows, because, by the way, we sign off at 7:30 for this little show called 60 Minutes. So, the True TVs and the TBSs and the TNTs of the world, they can run basketball all night. We're done at 7:30.
Right. And True's done by the time you get to this round. It's just a TNT, TBS thing. But yes.
But CBS has negotiated two exclusive games on Sunday. And so that's why the competition didn't start till 5-ish. And so that's why they can't get, they got 8 games to get in yesterday. And you only get 2 of them in before 5. So next thing you know, that's how you end up with. Plus, when they sell these games, they're selling afternoon sessions and evening sessions. Well, it doesn't matter what region of the country you're in. They don't start an evening session before 6:30 local, if not 7:10 local. So think about that. Now, even in the East, like the Gator game was a 7:10 tip, and then there's a game after it. So it's, once again, it's a TV show. CBS wants good ratings on the first Sunday of the tournament. They negotiate, they get 2 exclusive windows, and then, let the chips fall where they may. So that's why you end up with 9, 9:30, 10, 10:15 start times. And also think about it with the Sweet 16 coming up. There's 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday. Too early, too late. They stagger the early and late ones by a half an hour, but still, they're not going to start. The 7:10 will be the earliest tip. The other one's going to tip at 7:40. So then, in theory, when do the 2 night games tip? 9:40 and 10:10. So, it's a TV show, prime time. They want their viewership. They figure, hey, it's the madness. You guys will stay up late.
Just wanted you to fill in the people as to why it was the way that it was. And remember, St. John's in Kansas was the next game in the window. That was played in San Diego. That was actually an afternoon session out there for what it's worth.
Right. 2:15 tip local time.
Right. So, as David said, Thursday night, we get Texas and Purdue at 7:10, Iowa, Nebraska at 7:30. The late game is Illinois and Houston. Might be the best game on the docket. It starts at the earliest at 10:05.
And let's face it, there's a lot of people now, because on the other side of the bracket, isn't it Nebraska and Iowa?
Yes, that's one of the early games. That's the 7:30 game.
But I mean, in that region. So there are a lot of people that think that that's a Final Four game, that the winner of Houston, Illinois is going to win in the Elite Eight and go right to the Final Four. So, by the way, how about if we get an all Big Ten Final Four in that region?
How about if we just get all, let's guarantee the Big Ten one. Michigan, Michigan State, Illinois, Purdue. Okay, line me up right now. Go big rig. Get it done.
Hold on. So the Big Ten hasn't won enough lately in the major sports. I mean, hell, Wisconsin won the women's hockey title yesterday as well. I mean, how much more Big Ten winning do you need?
A basketball title, David. A basketball title. It's been how long?
2000.
Uh-huh.
2000. Listen, St. Johnson, Iowa hadn't been to the Sweet 16 since 99. If that can happen, damn it, a Big Ten team can cut down the nets, Mark. I'm telling you, it can happen.
6 Big Ten teams to the Sweet 16. Michigan and Arizona, 2 of the top seeds, looking good. Duke, after struggling in the first game, played a hell of a lot better in their second game.
Yeah,
Bobby Reagan to talk
too.
more hoops in 25 minutes.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Takori, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, Matthew, we went through that. We may go through it again.
Javier, you would have been proud of me. I don't know. I don't remember what your descent is, but just from a cooking standpoint, I made my first Cuban pork last night, Cuban roast pork, and it was perfect. I was very impressed with myself. My mother tried to take over. I threw her out of the kitchen. I'm not supposed to cook. Don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they're just the rules. The rules on top of rules. I've had enough. Although I don't know where one finds a sour orange. So I had to do the orange lime combo, but I have no idea. Is that just a Cuban thing? And I wouldn't even, I mean, I'm guessing if you're in Miami or somewhere you could get it, but I've never seen a sour orange or sour orange juice. Although I'm really into these shawarmas, and there's a bunch of Middle Eastern markets near me. So I may have to try to make my own because I can't have any of the vegetables from these places. No, I got you. I've just never seen them anywhere, Matthew. Like I it's not like Sun Harvest doesn't even have them to my knowledge because I don't think anybody eats them. Ah, okay. Gotcha. There you go. Okay. I can't be leaving things out right now. That's kind of against the rules. So I went with the cup of orange juice, a quarter cup of lime juice. Worked just fine. May I have a moment to have a little fun here, unless you've got something you got to get to?
Sure.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Bobby Reagan in a little more than 15 minutes time. Talk college hoops. Mo Cassara in a little over an hour. We'll do the same. Lots to talk about from the week and weekend that has come and gone. Our poll question deals with the madness. So what's your highlight so far? 4 choices. Big Ten killing it, which includes the Iowa upset of Florida. Nebraska to the Sweet 16. High Points upset. And how about that ridiculous end of regulation and that Kentucky-Santa Clara game? My goodness.
I voted Nebraska, David, and I guess it's the broadcaster in me that did it more than anything because I don't care about the Cornhuskers, not one bit. Win or lose doesn't make a damn bit of difference to me. Now, I have a friend who's a diehard Nebraska fan. He's got kids, and he sent me some cool pictures where they had the little corn thing on their light in the house, and they're wearing the jersey. So good for him, good for his family, good for his kids to see it. But when I saw their play-by-play guy of 41 years nearly in tears when they won the first game, that started me going. And then when they won their game to get in the Sweet 16, and 2 of the players went over and were embracing him, and they were all jumping up and down. I'm like, that's those players actually get it. I mean, they understand how big it was, not just for them, but for him. Think about it, David. You and I have done a ton of play-by-play. You were lucky enough when doing play-by-play for FGCU to be a part of history. You mean that you were? You know, I had some great games announcing, although I never called a championship. But so the announcer part of Nebraska tugged at me a little bit. That was the coolest thing to me because he's been doing it forever. And at least in basketball, has never enjoyed really any success, never won a tournament, and then never won a Big Ten or a Big 8 or a whatever conference they were in, however many numbers you want to put in it before they joined the Big Ten, never won the last game. So to see the excitement he had and the players celebrating with him, I thought was fantastic. I really did.
And now Nebraska and Iowa in a Sweet 16, and one of them's going to go to an Elite 8. How about that?
And I'm pulling for Nebraska hard simply because I saw a clip. We've got a listener who constantly sends us texts, and I don't know, I don't really think he jumps in the chat room, but he might, about collegiate wrestling. Like, why aren't we talking about it? Because no one cares.
I think Mark's internet locked up again. Hope it unlocks soon. Usually does this early. Usually it does this pretty late in the show for it to do it now.
What a freeze frame, too.
I know. If you're watching on twitch.tv or on youtube.com/Miller and Moulton, all right, it is a hell of an action face that we have Mark frozen at right now. Okay. So, see it while you can before he, probably logs out and logs back in, and then hopefully it'll work again. But Bobby Reagan coming up in about a dozen minutes. We'll get back to the story of the listener who is an avid college wrestling fan in a moment. I do want to, because we discussed this early in the show, but obviously, in my morning show, they say every 15 minutes you have a new audience, to just go back to the ending of Iowa, Florida for a second. So Todd Golden, apparently what he wanted to do, he wanted to press the inbounds because he didn't want the ball to go to the point guard. And that's why he was pressing. And the strategy from Florida's standpoint was, we're going to make sure that the guy who got the ball wasn't going to get the ball. Therefore, Iowa was going to have to inbound it to somebody else. And Florida was going to foul that guy and force a team that was, I think, 14 of 22 shooting free throws in the game to have to make 2 pressure free throws just to tie. So Golden was, doing some risky stuff here. Gets burned on the pressure, obviously, because once Iowa inbounded to the point guard in stride and his defender was behind him, not in front of him, it was a 3-on-2. Look out. And we all know what happened. So, but yes, Golden had a pretty, talk about not standard and not safe play at the end of an NCAA tournament game, and it came back to bite him. And I wonder if he'll continue to be that risky, aggressive, edgy, whatever you want to call it. I will say, and Gator fans are not going to want to hear this, Todd Golden has quickly made his way onto a lot of people's 5 most annoying coaches list. And I don't know if it's when they get the shot of him, Mark, on the sidelines arguing, but there are a lot of people now that do not like Todd Golden. And I think the officials are becoming some of those people also.
There's no doubt. And obviously, you saw the shot, he and the Iowa coach getting after one another in that game. But, look, I don't like any part of the way he played defense there. But if you want to pressure them and make sure the point guard doesn't get the ball, what are you doing it with one guy for? There wasn't help. There wasn't a substitute that's supposed when he gets around all those screens, there's got to be someone else. You got to know that they're going to try to set screens for this guy to get the ball, and you've got to adjust to that, David.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, you don't guard the inbound. If you really want to deny the point guard getting the ball, you double team him.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Because there's 8 seconds to go. This isn't Leitner 2.1. This isn't a 40 to 70 foot pass here. This is just inbounding the ball. Well, if you don't want it to go to player A, double team player A, make him throw it to player B.
But I wanted to get something. I got cut off there, and I apologize. The gremlins hit me. But it happened on Thursday. I did not find out until our show was over on Friday that Chuck Norris passed. Thursday, we found out on Friday. I forgot just how great the internet Chuck Norris jokes were. I mean, you hate to see anybody pass, obviously, but at 86, it's a pretty damn good life.
Right.
But the things that used to come up about Chuck Norris, and they were revisited. Chuck Norris doesn't flush the toilet. He scares the out of it. I mean, Chuck Norris was bitten by a cobra, and 5 days later, the cobra died. I mean, after 5 painful days, the cobra finally passed. I mean, and the fact I had forgotten that what was the Untouchables, the movie that had Schwarzenegger and Norris and Stallone and a few others. They actually put that joke in there. So I had one hell of a time reading all of the old Chuck Norris jokes that happened with his passing. And it reminded me of a time, David, that the internet was just a little more fun. That's all. It was a little lighter. We weren't all so damn angry. And it was just simply fun. So
Wow.
I hate to see someone go, but I have to say I got a little bit of a laugh. In fact, not even a little bit. I got a lot of laughs out of it on Friday. When Chuck Norris was born, he drove his mother home from the hospital. I mean, they're all terrific. And I hope you took at least a couple of minutes to remember when the internet was a hell of a lot more fun. That's all.
I just remember when he started doing that Walker Texas Ranger, and he was right around 60, and he became a sex symbol, okay, in his 60s. So that show was big, surprisingly big.
Yes. Yes, it was. And I don't know if I ever watched an episode. Miller and Moulton. We'll get back to the brackets. Bobby Reagan from Barstool. He's next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
PA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mahone, thanks for the info, but I was always of the opinion, well, and I've had blood oranges. They're not sour, they're sweet. So I'm not, and I actually double checked and it said they're not the same thing, but I'm not trying to argue with you on have an orange argument here, but that's not what I'm seeing. because I even double checked before I questioned you because I didn't know the answer. But I've had blood oranges. In fact, I think they sell them at Sun Harvest. I thought they were sweet. Okay, well, there you go. I wasn't meaning to argue. You know, I didn't want to get into an orange argument with you because if you would, the Gators would lose. See. And the bad part for all you Gators is Tennessee won. I mean, the ugliest orange out there. There is no uglier orange than Tennessee orange. I'll take Texas's burnt orange over Tennessee's. I don't even know what that is. Remember, you got to call Reags if you haven't already.
Just got him ready to go.
I figured when you didn't respond right away, you were doing just that, Raj. I had all the faith in the world in you.
Thank you, Mark.
Did you happen to watch that cover that I sent you, David?
No. I started to, and then got a lot
I
going
think you
on
got to
here.
like the song first, and I'm a big fan of the song.
Okay.
But a listener was the one that, because I mentioned the song on Thursday or Friday, and the listener sent that text to me. And then I saw him do Don't Change by INXS in Australia. Also very good.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Mo Cassara will join us 1 hour from now. We might get a little nitty gritty into the end of the Florida-Iowa game with the former coach and current broadcaster. It's always a thrill to catch up with Bobby Reagan. He covers college hoops for Barstool. Hence, you can follow him on X at Barstool Reags, R-E-A-G-S. Bobby joins us once again on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Bobby, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How you enjoying the tournaments thus far?
I mean, from a fan standpoint of Kentucky, not great.
Right.
But as a casual or like as a general overview of the tournament, I think it's been a really good one. Like, I know everyone was complaining on Saturday morning because I just don't think there was a game going on. It's been a good 4 days. There was one little lull, but we've had all the moments you could ask for.
Can I take you back? And I understand right now as a Kentucky fan, you're in a bad mood. I get it. I've been there as a Michigan State fan. I know what it's like losing before the Sweet 16. But take me back to the final minute of the Santa Clara game as a fan. Skip that you cover college hoop. Just talk to me about the Kentucky fan and your emotions in those, 30 seconds, if you will.
So it was fun. I got to watch it actually with one of my college roommates. So we just watched it as fans, and you forget that Owe hit the layup with 10 seconds left,
right,
to tie the game because of the madness of what happened after. And when Graves hits the three, I dropped to the floor. I watched Owe's shot laying on the floor with my hands like kind of peeking through my fingers, because that's what you do as a fan. You, at the same time though, when Graves makes the three, you look at the clock and you go, that's enough time to get a decent look, because in March, it's like whoever has the ball last, you just have that emotion.
Bobby, every now and then there's talk to whether or not they should take having to go 94 feet away and do the NBA rule where you get to call timeout and advance it beyond half court, which is really advancing it 2/3 of the court. I just think that the excitement, sometimes it goes in, oftentimes it doesn't. I think this is where college basketball needs to stay different than the NBA and keep the 94 feet rule at the end.
Agreed.
Your thoughts?
Agreed, completely. It's first off, why would we reward a losing team or a team that's losing just because they have a timeout? Like, okay, you miss a free throw or get a stop, or even you give up a bucket and then you can advance it. Like, what's the point here? And think of all the moments we had, because, the NBA is the only one that advances the ball. College, high school, all the other levels, you have to go the length of the court. You go back to the Tyus Edney shot. You go back to, obviously, Leitner, Bryce Drew, Owe this year, Iowa. That's what makes it fun, is you have hope and despair on both sides. Even Vanderbilt.
Right.
Tanner having that shot rim out, where I just don't like the idea of, okay, we have a timeout. Now let's take away the complete madness of the ending and have a kind of a manufactured. Now, granted, you still have to come up with a play call and a shot would be awesome, but does feel a little manufactured.
Well, and obviously we watched it last night in Iowa, in Florida, as the Hawkeyes, get the ball to their point guard and make a great play. I was disgusted with the defense by Florida. When you watched that, what was going through your mind?
I don't mind pressing. I don't mind any of the initial idea of, hey, okay, let's press. Let's try to get the ball out of Sturtz's hands. And Golden even talked about fouling, which is something he has done before. It is very analytically driven. He's done it at San Francisco, where up to you foul and he said he didn't want to foul, obviously, Sturtz. You foul a whatever percentage free throw shooter, and then at worst, you are going to overtime or you're tied with the ball, with holding for the last shot, because the numbers say if you have the ball last, with the last shot, you have a better chance of winning than defending up to with so much time left. A really good story about it. I forget who wrote it back in the day, of him and John Sapphire, his assistant, kind of working through this theory. The problem is they just started trailing Sturts right off the bat, which I don't understand. Like, why put a guy on the ball if your goal is to foul? Just double Sturts, make someone else catch the ball, foul, and then everyone will then freak out about the foul, not knowing what they're doing. But at least the plan would have worked. So none of it made sense in what he said they wanted to try to do. The fact that you could press just to waste time. And, like, they just gave up an easy, 5 dribbles from Sturts and then a pass to the corner for a wide-open 3. It wasn't like Sturts really had to make a play. He just came off a screen.
Yeah, it was the path of least resistance. That was Florida's D, and it obviously came back to bite them. Well, 2 Blue Bloods who lost. I don't know if they lost earlier than expected because North Carolina lost their best player, and Kentucky obviously was an inconsistent mess for most of the season. But North Carolina and Kentucky, apparently North Carolina is giving serious consideration to replacing Hubert Davis. And I'm curious if that same consideration is going to happen over the next 72 hours in Lexington. Your thoughts on whether or not 2 very special programs who need to win should make the change now as opposed to wait?
I mean, UNC should have made the change about 3.5 years ago. Like, I think everybody knew Hubert Davis wasn't made to be a head coach. I don't know how much he even really wanted the head coaching job, as it just kind of felt like UNC was like, well, okay, we're keeping it in the family. So I think that feels like a done deal. With Pope, he gets 1 more year, but he definitely enters next year with like all right, you need to be like, Kentucky boosters have pretty close unlimited money for the program. It's time to be a true national title contender. You can't sit here. And I said it was the biggest failure of a season in my lifetime. And I'm, as a 40-year-old, take away the loss to Oakland, the loss to St. Peter's, those are individual losses where you're a 2 or 3 seed. This was a 9 seed in the SEC tournament, a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament that wasn't competitive in a lot of games, including the last one. And yes, I'm aware that Quaintance and Lowe were hurt, but like the roster construction, you gave reportedly a few $1 million to a big guy coming off a torn ACL. None of it made sense. After all the excitement of last year, the fun offense, the shooting, you get John Wall back this year as a guest at Big Blue Madness. So I think he gets 1 more year. I think he's earned 1 more year, but it's, you better be competing for titles in at this time next year. And then don't forget, Bill Self kind of left it very open-ended about retiring. So you could be talking about 3 of the 4 biggest names of the brand and what I think is probably the 3 best jobs in Kansas, Kentucky, and Carolina, rank them in order of jobs however you want, opening within a year of each other.
We had a poll question last week, and I wasn't allowed to put the answers I wanted. It was the good, great team you hate the most. I wanted to just put Duke, and Duke, but we had to put 3 others on there.
Answer.
Is how close right now is Florida to jumping in that group? Golden's a very polarizing guy, and I know they got beat, but Florida's quickly rising the ranks. And you, as a Kentucky guy watching the Gators take over that conference in basketball, is Golden rising on that? And Golden and the Gators rising on that list for you?
It's so hard because, like, I don't want to say Florida fans don't care. They just aren't Duke fans. Like, Florida fans at least live in the state or have stepped foot in the state of Florida, where and like Todd Golden is still overshadowed by Nate Oates in his own conference. So it's like, yes, they are more successful. Like Florida is a wildly successful program, but there's not a lot to hate outside of Golden right now. It's not like their fans kind of run their mouths because they, as successful as Florida basketball is, it's like, all right, football's around the corner, and that's what we care about. That's what we want to be good at. And so it's like, they're in that tier. I don't even know how to put them like in a tier because they're really good program, but not that annoying of a fan base, but has a coach that I think a lot of people want to punch.
By the way, did you just mention two of the leading, or maybe the two leading candidates? If, Bill Self is forced to retire because of his heart condition, if the Kentucky job opens up now or in a year, if the North Carolina job opens up in the next 2 to 3 days, I mean, are we talking, Nate Oates, Todd Golden? I mean, who else gets called? I mean, you don't want to do what, no offense, Kentucky ended up doing after, they got rid of John Cal, and then it seemed as if they didn't really have a plan. I mean, if you're got a blue blood program, don't you have to have the contract signed in the drawer and then you fire him?
Yeah, I mean, that's why Mitch Barnhart is the most hated Kentucky person, the AD that's stepping down, because he had no plan. His plan was pray for Dan Hurley. He's good friends with Scott Drew, and then no one's around. I think that the other names you'll hear, TJ Otzelberger will be in the mix could be in the mix for Carolina. The one name that I'll tell you what is real interesting is Jai Lucas down in Miami. I know he's only been the head coach for 1 year, but you look at look at Ty Golden, where he's a young guy, was at San Francisco. Not like he had a massive run in the tournament or all this success. He was a 7 seed that won and then lost to who they lose to in the second round? St. Peter's, I think they lost to St. Peter. No, they lost to in the first round to Murray State. So it's not like the old days where you kind of just go, oh well, they never won a title, and it's like, okay. Golden was a head coach for 3 years before he got the Florida job, with 2 winning seasons, and like I said, made the tournament once. So it's not. I think Lucas is a guy that will be popping up, and he was an assistant at at Kentucky and Duke. You might take a swing on him and say, hey, why don't we just go get our guy real early? We can have him for the next 25 years, assuming he's a decent head coach. But yeah, then I don't know what other names pop up. Like, you're right. It's going to be the Golden, the Oates, the Otzelberger. It kind of feels like those 3, but what happens if I thought, what happened if Golden made a Final Four this year and just goes, all right, I want a title in a Final Four at Florida. Do I really need to leave? It's a different world with NIL and everything.
All right. For a lot of the year, it was Michigan, Arizona, and everyone else. And Duke beat Michigan, but they're banged up right now. Is it still, in your opinion, Michigan, Arizona, and everyone else? Or is there someone that's emerged here that you like a lot to still win this thing?
I think Duke can win it. I do think Michigan and Arizona are a little bit above them. Houston's kind of elevated themselves back into it. And then you just look at the way the bracket breaks. Duke's got the hardest Sweet 16, obviously, because all the the way the seeds held and the way St. John's has looked. Arizona, they get arguably the hottest team in the country in Arkansas. So it's going to be an interesting Sweet 16. Houston, Illinois is going to be an awesome one. Illinois is another team that I think can win it. The winner of that obviously gets Iowa, Nebraska. If Houston wins, they get that Elite 8 game in Houston against either a 9 or a 4. It does feel like Michigan, Arizona as the top 2, Duke right there, and then probably Houston, Illinois, and then is Joshua Jefferson going to play for Iowa State? It's shaped up to be an awesome Sweet 16.
Bobby Reagan covers college hoops for Barstool, hence the handle Barstool Reags, R-E-A-G-S. And that's where you follow Bobby. Bobby, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it. And hopefully we can talk sooner than later.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Bobby Reagan joining us once again on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
He and I share the Duke hatred.
I know.
He has it more than me. I mean, you heard him when I said Duke, 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 or Duke. He agreed with those 4 answers.
He did. As a Kentucky fan, though, we know where this originates from, and he's in his early 40s. So do the math. He was, yes. in grade school when Leitner hit the shot. Enough said.
Yeah, I guess. But I think there's more to it than that. He's covered the sport for quite a while, but that's definitely where it started. There's no doubt. At a very early age, his heart was broken by the Blue Devils, and it's hard to ever get over that. Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yes, he is, Deadstroke. He's a Kentucky grad, so I always take that one step further than fan. When you have a pelt on the wall, I think it means a little more than just being a fan of a team, but that's my arrogance, I guess.
Michael St. John's is always going to give you a scare against good teams because offensively, I mean, we talked about it. You know it. Okay. I mean, they can go 20 minutes and not score against anybody.
If they play Michigan State, that game could be first one to 60.
Yeah. Stove up. Are you sure it's Pearl Jr. or his dad?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home, at least in Jacksonville and Tampa St. Pete. Final hour of the show, Southwest Florida, Port Charlotte, Venice, Live Oak Lake City, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark, couple things I want to throw at you. You ready?
Okay, first pitch, go.
Which, by the way, Yankees-Giants Wednesday night, opening day for most everyone else, is Thursday. Okay, so it's one thing, at least this is how I feel, and I think I've brought you along some of the way. It's one thing to go, the SEC's got 4 teams in the Sweet 16. That's all well and good. But to me, how many were they supposed to have? And I believe the answer was only 3. So they got 10 teams in the tournament, but how many were supposed to be around week 2? Well, it was Bama, Arkansas, Florida, right? A 1 and 2 4s. They didn't have a 2 or a 3, did they?
No.
So they have 4 teams left this week. Yes, Florida lost, but Tennessee and Texas are still very much alive, and they were not supposed to be. So that's how I like to judge how is the conference doing. Yeah, the Big Ten's got 6. Well, there was a lot of pressure on the Big Ten coming into this tournament because they were supposed to get 5 through to the Sweet 16. So all the big boys have lived up to it. And then, of course, there's Iowa. Thank you very much.
After all the 9 seeds won in the first round, and obviously you have to play a 1 seed next, Iowa's the only one to get through.
Now, the Big 12 had a terrific year. I would argue they were the best conference in the country this year. Analytics say it was probably the third best. Okay. But Mark, the Big 12, even though they may end up with the national champion, hell, they may end up with 2 Big 12 teams playing for the national championship. But they were supposed to have 4 teams left in the Sweet 16, and they've only got 3. Now, there are 3 teams that have a real shot. But, the Big East, they've overachieved because technically St. John's was a 5 and was supposed to lose at the buzzer to Kansas. And instead they won. So the ACC was supposed to have 2 teams left because Virginia was a 3. Tennessee took them down. The ACC left with Duke. And then, believe it or not, the West Coast Conference was supposed to have a team because the Zags were a 3 seed. And they got taken out by Texas. So that's how I like to judge the conferences halfway through the tournament. Not by how many they have in the Sweet 16, but how many were they supposed to have? And the Big East, the Big 10, and the SEC overachieving right now. So, listen, you and I mean, we follow college basketball pretty closely, sometimes very closely, but I mean, we don't know all the hot assistants and the hot coaches that are going to be in the carousel, etc. But can I make you the AD at South Florida for the next couple of minutes? You're now going to have your 5th men's basketball coach of the last 5 years. Now, this AD hasn't hired any of them. He just got the job a few months ago. He's a money guy, okay? And universally praised as a great hire. Knows the Tampa Bay sports scene, knows all the players, thinks that, let's face it, what's it's about going forward? It's about money, and that South Florida's AD in his market is as well positioned to get the job done as just about any AD hire of the last 6 months. Okay, we'll see how it plays out. But Mark, the one coach got fired, so they brought in Amir Abdul-Rahim, who obviously was a tremendous success, won the regular season conference his first year, and then tragically died on the operating table before the start of his second year. Had one of his top assistants be the interim coach then 2 years ago. They go and hire Hodgson away from UNLV. He comes in, wins the regular season and postseason conference tournament. They hadn't done that in 36 years. I thought South Florida was very classy, by the way, in their goodbye statement to Hodgson. They didn't focus on the one and done. They focused on, hey, man, he said he was going to come in and deliver championships, and guess what? He did, and we'll always be grateful. Okay. So where are we going now? I mean, don't laugh. Can we hire somebody who can stay for the rest of the decade?
That's a great call, David. And I'm not going to pretend to be in this world. But from a head coaching standpoint, guys that are out there, we already talked about High Point, and I know he's married to the women's assistant. So would he leave High Point? Obviously, that's a school that's learned how to work in the portal. From an administrative standpoint, they were praised. So they have some money. So understanding the portal and how to put a team together that way, I would think he would be a candidate right now. I could be crazy, but I would think that would, of the low to mid majors out there, and think about it, when you're in the American, that's the head coaches you can get. So, all right, that's the first place I would go.
I believe, by the way, Flynn Clayman is his name, I think, at High Point.
Okay, I don't know the Gator assistants by name. Sorry, I don't. I don't care for the most part. I'm like a lot of you. I watched a ton of college hoop. I don't get into the coaches. I watch the games. I'm here to be entertained. but is there a Gator assistant? Now, after the way they handled the end of the game yesterday, no, but is there a Gator assistant that's someone who is worthy? Obviously, Florida's done a tremendous job here with Golden. So is there an assistant that you could pluck that would be ready? If I'm thinking assistants, I'm also looking at who works for Hurley in Connecticut. Obviously, that's a great program. So that's my if it's a head coach, I may be looking at the guy at High Point. I don't know of another, could you look at, I get what Indiana did in football is a once in a lifetime thing, probably. Miami of Ohio just went undefeated. Everybody's going after his players. If he were to get a better job, would he take players with him? And how good would they be moving up a level or two? So, coming off of the year he had, do you look at the Miami of Ohio coach?
Right.
I'm not going, in my initial thought, David, was because Gonzaga's leaving that conference, would the Santa Clara or St. Mary's coach be right for the taking? Because the pecking order there's going to change. But if I'm at South Florida, do I really want a West Coast guy that knows nothing about this part of the country? And I know it's all about transfer portal, but I would lean someone that's on the Eastern Seaboard before I would go out west.
Well, I think I'd have to douse your enthusiasm there. First off, Randy Bennett at St. Mary's, he's reportedly deciding whether or not he wants to leave St. Mary's for Arizona State. But I don't know if you're at one of those WCC schools, if you view South Florida as a promotion. I do think if you're at Miami of Ohio, okay, you view going to the American as a promotion. I do think if you're at High Point, you view going to the American for the Big South as a promotion. Although, if you're dominating your conference and you're the top spender in your conference, is that the job you leave for? But my thing is, if I'm doing the hiring, I really don't want to have to do another hire for 3 years. I mean, I got to get a guy who, I don't know, I need 3 years out of him. Yeah, I need one tournament appearance, preferably a tournament win. But, I'm not really sure of the name. I'll tell you what, Wes Miller just got fired at Cincinnati. I think he's a very good coach. Okay. Cincinnati had a horrible stretch earlier this year where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. They were like second group of 4 out. Okay. He almost saved his job. Okay. Like, I'd hire Wes Miller if he'd take the job at South Florida. I really would. I don't think South Florida can get the St. Louis coach. They just threw a ton of money at him. And, would you leave for the American if you're in the Missouri Valley? I don't think I would.
Does Dusty May have an assistant that's worthy of getting?
Yeah.
And did he bring someone from FIU? And I don't know who Michigan's assistants are.
I know what you're saying.
FAU, sorry.
Right.
But I mean, there could be a guy on that staff that's familiar with the state, who understands what it was to try to bring kids to FAU, not Michigan.
Right.
So there's a difference there.
Yep.
So that would intrigue me if there's someone there that I think is worthy. That's kind of where I'm leaning.
It's interesting. Can South Florida get the Miami of Ohio and the High Point guy? Or for whatever reason, will they just decide, no, if I'm going to leave here, I'm going to leave here for better, a Power 5 conference job. And I say Power 5 because the Big East is included in that.
But that comes up with your ultimate question, David. Is coaching, and I'm just throwing a team out there, and I know they've had good years, but is coaching Minnesota, a bottom rung Big Ten team, or Northwestern, or whatever bottom rung Big Ten team you at Rutgers, I don't give a damn. Is that a better job than South Florida?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it pays more, but you're getting set up to get fired, David. That's what you're getting set up for.
You are, but you're also getting set up to not have to work again. And by the way, my apologies. I said St. Louis is in the Missouri Valley. They're obviously in the A10. Okay. Thanks for those that pointed that out. My bad.
So I like where your head's at, that you want someone that's going to finish the decade.
Yep.
But I do think the money doesn't seem to be a problem at South Florida.
Nope.
Expectations, I think they're realistic of what you're talking about. One tournament in 3 years, preferably win one. Where do they go for the next coach? We'll find out. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Probably Mr. Spivey, top to bottom. I would agree with that. I mean, there were years that there were others, but the American should be right there. And it was for a long time before it lost a couple of schools. Missouri Valley used to be pretty damn good, but I would say the A-10. And Guillermo, my answer to that is no way in hell. Not even being mean. I think North Carolina people would lose their blank if they hired the High Point coach. They would think they're going to get Golden or someone like that. They would freak out. Talked about it earlier, Comptech. He didn't die. He's just allowing the rest of the world to live. Kind of, Mr. Spivey. Yep. And I'm not even saying the guy couldn't do it. I'm just saying they would never. That's so far beneath North Carolina, it's not even funny. For a brief second on Friday, Canada relief.
We did Canada relief.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Mo Cassara, former coach at Hofstra, CBS Sports Network, college basketball analyst. He will join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time as we'll check in not just on what's taking place, but also get his thoughts on some of the matchups that we have coming up beginning Thursday night. And those matchups will not include the Florida Gators. The first 1 seed out is Florida. I think they finished second when we did that question last week, who's going to be the first 1 seed to lose. I think Duke was 1. Florida, to my surprise, was voted second because I didn't think there was much of a shot the Gators would lose before the Elite Eight.
I'm still stunned they lost yesterday. When you and I were texting and you said Gators are in trouble, and I'm like, I agree. But when they came back and got the lead, and Iowa didn't hit threes the whole game. How did they win the game? They hit a big three. I don't want to take anything away from Iowa because I thought, all the announcers after the game were right. Iowa for the entire game outplayed the Gators. Mm-hmm. They did. They were the better team for 40 minutes. But when the game was in the balance, it looked as if Florida had taken over and then really screwed it up. Their shot selection in the last 4 or 5 minutes was lousy. And I did not, we've talked at length about how they defended the last play. And David, you're right. If you want to press and you don't want the point guard to get the ball, then you double team him. And they
Yes.
didn't do that.
No, not at
Their
all.
plan to take him off of the ball was horrific.
Awful.
And that falls on the coaching staff. I'm sorry, it does.
I agree. I don't necessarily. It would have been fascinating if Florida had executed what they wanted to. I mean, I would love to be doing today's show and just imagine that they lost by 1, whether in regulation or in overtime. But Florida's plan was to make sure that the guy who got the ball didn't get the ball and that they were forced to inbound it to anybody else. There were a couple of very inexperienced players that were on the floor whose job it was to just set screens. And what Golden wanted was make them inbound the ball to one of those other guys, and then we're going to foul them and send him, inexperienced, not as good a foul shooter as the point guard who was in the 80 percentile. Iowa as a team was what, 13 of 21? Something like that. You know, we're talking like 63% on the day shooting free throws. And Golden, this is his analytics background. He apparently did it at San Francisco, and he was going to do it again. And if the kid made both free throws, Florida would be tied. They'd get the ball. They'd have 4 to 6 seconds to come down, try to win it. Worst case scenario, we go to overtime. But what is Golden trying not to have happen? Somebody to hit a 3. And as we've seen, it doesn't matter if it's a good wide open 3 or if it's a force to the sideline 50-footer. You know, it can go in. And Golden was just like, no, not going to have that happen. Nope. Worst case scenario, we're going to overtime.
And I think you're asking a lot of Fland here to have to go outside of 2 different screens. You're telling him, don't let this guy get the ball. But if you get 2 screens, go around it and let it get the ball so you don't get beat down court. I mean, you're asking a lot of him defensively there, David. You really are.
The whole defensive alignment was wrong to me. First off, if you want to deny the guy getting the ball, you have to double team him. Okay, so you cannot pressure the inbounds pass. That to me seemed like a waste of time. I understand their argument was we make the inbounds pass hard. If we do a good job fronting the guard, he's got to go elsewhere. Okay. To me, I would not have guarded the inbounder. I would have double teamed the point guard. They set up a double screen at either the free throw line or the top of the key. To me, it would be real simple. I would have had the 2 defenders on each side of the 2 guys setting the screen. Whichever way he goes, I got a guy. Okay, when they're lining up like that, I'm like, well, this is easy. I got one on one side, one on the other. Let's go. I mean, to be honest with you, you could triple team him. If the whole object is to not have him get the ball, hell, you could have, because they had 3 defenders within 15 feet of the inbounds pass. I mean, you could have the other guy guarding them too. I mean, if the whole purpose is to prevent him from getting the ball, then you make sure he doesn't get the ball.
And you know what, to further your point, David, if your plan is to foul someone that's not the point guard, then on a switch, you can have a 3rd guy guard the point guard and let him inbound it to anybody but the point guard. Because you're not realistically going to get a 5-second call at that point.
But obviously they were not going to double team the point guard. Okay. But to me, the big mistake was, oh man, the defender was trailing the point guard. He runs off that double screen and he's got the defender on his hip. So once they inbound the ball to him, Florida's screwed. It's a 3-on-2.
He's at full speed dribbling the ball down the court.
With
your defender who's covering the corner 3 has to step up or he gives up an uncontested layup. He has no choice at that point.
Although you could argue, what do you want to give up? The uncontested layup or the wide open 3? But yeah, obviously the whole thing broke down. Soon as the pass was inbounded, and 8.9 seconds also. Here's the funny thing. That was Florida's strategy. Iowa's strategy was to get the ball inbound to the point guard, get it across midcourt, and call timeout because they still had one. And then they were going to draw up the play.
Which, by the way, I'm never a fan of. With that amount of time left, to then at 6 seconds try to get a play inbounded again. Because the difference of inbounding it under the hoop after a made free throw and inbounding it midcourt is the guy underneath the hoop can move.
Yeah, you can run the baseline, right. But, they were just trying to advance the ball about 50 feet, call timeout, and have 3-4 seconds left to run a play. And however, the second part of the strategy was get across midcourt, call timeout, unless it opens up for you. The funny thing is, Fulgaris, who hits the shot, says to the point guard coming out of the huddle, I'm going to be wide open in the corner. Pass me the ball. I'll hit it. And the point guard's looking at him, and Fulgaris is like, I'll hit it. So this was like Jordan and Steve Kerr back in the Bulls Jazz final when Jordan said, I'm going to get double teamed and you're going to be the guy that's open. And Kerr said, I'll hit it. I'll be ready. I'll hit it. Well, apparently Fulgaris told him, I'll be open. I'll hit it. Okay. I'll tell you what, if you're an Iowa fan, forget the fact that you won. The love affair you now have with that coach, first off, the in-game interview that he gave in which he basically said to the sideline person, listen, I don't know what they're being all soft about. If they want to go, let's go. And then after the game, when asked what type of program you have, he said, listen, if you're a little soft and you like yourself too much, we're not the school for you. We want tough guys that want to do something that's bigger than themselves. That's who we're looking for. How well do you think that plays at Iowa?
Well, particularly after the last guy, who's most known for a stare down with a referee and being one of the most difficult humans to deal with. And that was just for the people in Iowa. Mo Cassara next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Tim, I'm not sure what the text of one was about, but I appreciate it. Well, you passed the test. Whatever the test was, Tim,
Testing
you
one.
passed it. What's that?
Testing one.
Okay, gotcha. Raj, I will say, because a listener, and I know you like your music, and I don't know how much Springsteen you like, and that's fine if you don't. But he did a cover, and it's like 10 years old, of that Lorde song Royals, and he did it in New Zealand, where she's from. It's just he and a guitar and harmonica. It's pretty good.
I'm not a huge Bruce guy, but I'd love to hear that. I love that song.
I do too. I'm a huge fan of that song. And then I looked and then it got me down a rabbit hole because I wanted to see if she knew about it. And she said she was nearly in tears when she heard Bruce did her song, which I would be too. Yes, it is Canada Relief, and it's quite a video. My kid's going to see Goose, and I don't know whenever they're coming to Raleigh. The more videos I see of them, and it's always them doing Floyd songs, I'm like, they're all right to me. They'd be a fun show to go see. They can jam.
Sorry, I may have missed that last part because Mario was talking to me.
Oh, no. I was just, and tell her hello. I was just saying that band, my kid's going to see Goose. I think that's going to be a fun show. They seem like they're a good time.
Yes, I would like to see him. I do like some of their songs. They haven't clicked for me yet, but they seem to be like the new Fish, is what it seems like.
I think that's a fair comparison. Absolutely.
And Trey even did some. Trey did like a solo tour with them. A couple falls ago. And they played together at every show for like part of the set.
Roger, give Mo a call if you can.
I'm on it.
Thank you. Canada Relief, I got to admit, I think it was BS. Saturday morning, my wife's got Good Morning America on, and all of a sudden there's this Timberlake DUI video. That was from nearly 24 months ago. Okay? I mean, seriously. This is news with everything that was going on in the world. This is news. Okay, they released the video. He was drunk. I think we can all imagine what he was like. He was polite sitting behind the wheel of the car. He couldn't quite walk the line straight. It's why he got arrested. Seriously? I thought it was total BS. If I was Timberlake, every outlet that showed the video, I'd have nothing to do with them ever again. You got to be kidding me. 22 months later? It's ridiculous.
Mo's ready.
And Greta Van Fleet's good. When's the last time they had a song? I mean, they're from my part of the world, but that's like 10 years old, bro, isn't it? I mean,
they've had some stuff. It just hasn't hit, really.
Okay. I mean, they're very good. I get it. They used to play White Spar and Saginaw.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us on this Monday after the first week of the madness. We're down to the Sweet 16. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, we give you 4 choices. What is the best thing that you like about the tournament thus far? Mo Cassara, former coach, broadcaster for CBS Sports, You can follow him on X at Coach_Mo Cassara, Cassara. Mo, it's David and Mark. We hope things are going well for you and the family. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for that nice shout out there and getting that name right and everything. A lot of vowels in there, and I appreciate that.
we try very hard to get all the vowels right. Hey, first off, as a coach, you coached at Hofstra. Just your thoughts. 25 years later, a school like that makes it back to the tournament. We got teams in the Sweet 16 for the first time since the Clinton administration. Just curious, your thoughts on some of the storylines that we have.
Well, that's what it's all about. You get to see schools that haven't been there in a long time, and they've been chasing it and gone through, multiple coaches and administrations and tried to get back there, and shows how difficult it is. You get to see schools like High Point that most of the country, have no idea where they are or what they're about. And the world gets to, kind of see what they are. And I think for universities, that just speaks volumes for what it does for your school on so many different levels. And it's an exciting, incredible time of year. There's exhilaration, there's heartbreak. And it's all about winning in March. And that's what, the investment of the entire year goes into. And you also got to get a little bit lucky, and we've seen a lot of that this year, some last second shots and some incredible games. So the tournament has delivered once again.
It always does, and it did last night. Talk to us about the Florida-Iowa finish. David and I are in agreement, but different ways. I would have never pressed. He had no problem with the press. He just had a problem with them defending the inbounder if you don't want the point guard to get the ball. Your thoughts on that last sequence from Florida's perspective, how should it have been defended?
Yeah, that's always, it's always easier to, to look at it in slow time, or when you get to think about it after the fact. Difficult. I think, at the end of the game, you got to keep the ball handler in front of you, and pressing, certainly seems to always lead to, especially if you're not used to doing it, or at the end of a game, leads to, quick runouts and easy baskets and, really difficult play. I think you could go either way. It's a little bit more of strategy. What are you always going to do in that situation? So clearly they felt they needed to put that pressure, in the full court, try to take some time off the clock. And, obviously another great game right down to the last play.
Did you have a problem with Golden? I guess what he really wanted to do was inbound the ball to anybody but the point guard, and then he was going to foul that guy up to in the closing second.
You're right. Correct.
Yeah. I'm just curious your thoughts.
I think their game plan was right. I think, it obviously didn't get executed exactly the way they wanted, but I think they were right in position, and ultimately it comes down to making a play or defending, one play in the last couple seconds of the game. So I don't have any problem with the way that they played it. It just obviously they didn't execute, at the very end like Iowa did.
And Iowa got the open shot and they buried it. When you look ahead, because this is a year that, I think a lot of us all year thought it was Michigan, it was Arizona, and it was everyone else. Duke's obviously a good team. They're a little banged up. I don't know how healthy they'll be before their next game. Take Michigan and Arizona out. Who do you think's the best team remaining in the tournament?
Well, I don't know if there's, I think Duke, you mentioned Duke, obviously they go in as the number one seed. They haven't looked great, but sometimes that is the way the early part of the tournament goes, especially for heavy favorites, where you got to kind of get through that first game and kind of stumble through that second game. So they were not great. They didn't look great, but they're there. And I think now as they regroup and as you mentioned, maybe get healthy, they're playing in DC in a loaded regional final. I mean, just, how about that? Michigan State, UConn, St. John's, and Duke, and incredible. But I think there's some teams like Purdue, like Iowa State that, might not have had the greatest maybe regular season, but they're experienced, they're tough, they're well coached. I like some teams like that as well to maybe, punch their ticket.
Mo Cassara, coach, broadcaster, CBS Sports. Follow him on X at coach_Mo Cassara, Cassara. Two things, by the way. Duke has never not won the national title without having beaten St. John's in the tournament. It's a remarkable coincidence. Okay.
I saw that this morning. Yeah.
I'm sure Patino's thrilled to have seen that. But the other thing I will throw out there, Duke ain't going to get the whistle against Patino and St. John's that they got in the second round. I'm just going to say, but Mo, I wanted to go back to when you coached the end of the Kentucky Santa Clara game. Did you ever have a situation where you were desperately trying to call a timeout and the refs just didn't see you or didn't give it to you? Because that was clear. Herb Sendek basically ran at the wrong official. If he had run at the baseline official, he probably gets his timeout. He runs at the sideline official, who then is running away from him. I'm just curious, did you ever have that happen when you're like, I was screaming for a timeout, they didn't give it to me?
Yeah. Yeah, I have, sometimes in that quick action, and I'm guessing Coach Sendek wanted to call a timeout because then they would talk about potentially fouling, up 3,
sure,
which I would do in that situation, because then you eliminate what exactly happened. I also think that more half court, last second shots seem to happen on the fly as opposed to out of a set play. So I think he wanted to obviously call a timeout and set his play. I can remember a couple times trying to call a timeout, but more often it was like, should I call a timeout or not? And you're kind of thinking about it and watching it at the same time, and maybe you don't emphatically say timeout or get to the referee, and you let it play itself out. But in that situation, it's really unfortunate. He clearly wanted a timeout, didn't get it. And those seconds happen so fast. So again, a really unfortunate, way to end a season, and look what happened. Then obviously they go into overtime and aren't able to win. So really tough situation. End of game. We've seen more, I think, in this last couple weeks, more, and even in some of the conference finals, I think we've seen more, under 5-second game situations for coaches and players than I've ever seen in one tournament.
What impresses you more? Like this week, the teams preparing for Thursday or Friday when they've got a little time, or the coaches that are able to turn around and get it ready for that second game?
I think turning around and getting it ready for that second game, because there's not a lot, it's more about just rest and recovery, and you've got to just rely on your guys to do the right thing. I think also in this day and age, you have teams that haven't had guys in their program for 3 or 4 years and maybe been through 3 or 4 tournaments or a lot of experience, right? So I think that also speaks volumes to what these coaches now have to do, because it really is, in many cases, a new team almost every year, minus a couple players. So, we're certainly extra focused on St. John's up here in New York, and seeing a guy like Zubi Ejiofor, who was in the tournament, suffered a little heartbreak last year, now back, but the rest of the team is all new. So how you're able to now quickly turn around and execute what you've preached all year, I think speaks volumes to what these coaches and staffs have to do now in quick preparation. And I also think it speaks volumes to what we've been talking about, all these end of game situations. You have to kind of install that in a new team every year, which is really incredible.
Well, Mo, I know in the past we've talked about the key is getting old and staying old, and whether it's a big school or a small school, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it anymore in the world that we're now in. I mean, even the High Points and the Miami of Ohio's of the world, they're having to bring in new starters every year. I mean, the whole getting old and staying old, is that a thing of the past?
I think it is. One of the packages I cover for CBS is the Patriot League. And, early on in this new world, the Patriot League and the Ivy League seemed kind of isolated from this whole thing, but they're not now. The rookie of the years in these leagues or players of the years in these leagues, they're gone. So even some of these smaller academic type schools are having to start over again as well. So I think it's a thing of the past. I think it's the new world, and I think some schools have obviously adapted really well. But Miami of Ohio is a great example. They were, had really struggled, a few years ago, but they're a little younger, but they just got the right group of guys. And sometimes it's that combination of the right group of guys at the right time with the right coaching staff and maybe one or two veteran players that fill in. But it is a new ball game, so to speak, every season for these teams up and down from the Ivy League, all the way through, up to the Kentuckys and the Kansases of the world.
John Calipari praised High Point, and rightly so. It seems that the Miamis, Ohios of the world have a tough time because, they're public schools. They don't have the money. But, I know Liberty didn't get into the tournament. They lost in their conference tournament. But is it going to take, to be the mid-small major to do something? Is it going to take being a private school like a High Point, like a Liberty, that can get a lot more cash than the public school to try to, I don't know if it's break the glass ceiling, but you know what I'm saying, to be a consistent team at that level?
Yeah, to be consistent, you're going to have to have funding. You're going to have money and backing at that level. I think the other side of it is if you're not, and you're a Miami of Ohio, you got to get a little lucky, and you got to really work at it from a staffing standpoint and try to find, guys that fit together, that get along, that fit what you want to do. And, every now and then you're going to hit it right, like Miami of Ohio did, and credit to them. They had the right group of guys and, not a ton of funding, and that built a ton of excitement. And if not, you can have a lot of funding and have a lot of backing, College of Charleston, UNC Wilmington, teams that, have really great programs, win a ton of games, got a lot more money than schools at that level. And, but then you got to win in the tournament and get in. So doesn't necessarily, because you have the money, doesn't necessarily always mean you're going to get there, but it certainly gives you a better opportunity to obviously now get better players.
Final one from me. Of these 4 games, which one you most looking forward to? Duke St. John's, Michigan State, UConn, Houston, Illinois, Arizona, Arkansas.
St. John's Duke. I have to say I'm all in. We're here. We're not far from the St. John's campus, and I think that has a ton of interest for me. And also flipping the other side of that, I think the Michigan State UConn one is a fabulous one too. Just from a pure watching standpoint, cinema with these coaches and stats, it's going to be incredible.
All right, off of basketball for 1 second. I know you had the restaurants. I don't know if you still do. What makes the perfect pizza, Coach?
Crust. I have one left. It's a pizzeria here on Long Island, and obviously you got to have good pizza to survive here. It's all about the crust. If you don't have good crust, I know it's tough to get there in Florida, but I do have to tell you, I might give up the crust and the pizza for the weather. I might be moving to Florida. This winter up here has been absolutely brutal. It is brutal. I drink my coffee every morning and looking at real estate in Florida. So I may be down there with you next year, guys. I can't take it much longer.
Yeah, you're not the first person at a certain age to come to that conclusion. We'll be here for you. Mark does real estate on the side, Mo. Okay, so we've got your number.
All right,
you need to keep ours.
All right. I like it. I always appreciate you guys reaching out. It's great to talk to you. Appreciate the love, and certainly enjoy the games, and always great to talk to you guys.
Coach Mo Cassara, CBS Sports. Follow him on X at Coach_Mo Cassara, CASSARA.
Had to go pizza with him. He's had the restaurants for years.
Yep, I know.
And I thought he still had a pizza place. I didn't want to assume that. I was kind of checking while we had him on, but you can't trust the. I tried to order one and it said the page wasn't there anymore. And then I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? So he's still got the pizza joint on Long Island. Crust, David. Crust.
Yeah, it's all in the bread. There's no doubt. It's the water. I'm telling you, the water in certain parts of the country makes for great bread, which makes for great bagels and pizza, and you just take it from there.
Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District Bonus Hour. That comes next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Takori, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Espanol.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I know nobody's brought it up today. I just threw it in there quickly with Mo, but the officiating in the Duke. Oh man, that second round game. That was horrendous. They got so jobbed. First half, fouls were 12-8 with a couple of late fouls called against Duke. And then the first 7 fouls of the second half, 6-1 against Duke's opponent. Fouls were 18-9.
Well,
And
and
by-
I missed that goaltending call a T.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
and by the
that's
way,
just-
he didn't curse either. He said, I didn't curse at him.
That's a joke. That was a joke.
It's
Nothing's
TCU,
new about
yeah.
it. Duke gets every
No.
call, always have, always will.
That was ridiculous. A tight game, and all of a sudden, here come the fouls. They're both playing the exact same style of ball. Duke drives to the basket, foul. TCU drives to the basket, nothing.
Well, at DTW, there's a lot of people that do the January, February, March. That's for sure. The next one will be May, but like David said, it's been a cold winter everywhere. You wonder if that keeps people down here at least till mid-May.
Oh.
Yeah, Michael, my wife was not far away from where you were, except for yesterday. Texas Tech losing and Virginia losing hurt her a little bit. She's kicking my butt.
Mark, I reached out to Mo for you. And
Okay.
said, don't laugh. Don't laugh, Mark. Mark's a real estate agent. Okay.
It was
We
not a
can-
goal, Canada Relief.
Oh, Mo wanted me to tell you guys that he thinks you guys are great guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, very
Did you
nice.
give him my number, David?
I did, actually.
Okay.
I told him he could also text me and I would forward it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X on this Monday after the first week of the tournament. So got women's tournament action today and tonight. Got some NIT going on, if that'll wet your whistle. Otherwise, Yankees and Giants Wednesday night on Netflix. Let me tell you, quick tangent. I don't know if you care about this, but Mark, there are quite a few opening day broadcasts in which the local announcers will not be doing the games.
What?
Well, think about it. Yankees, Giants on Netflix.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right.
So-
I'm not being a jerk because I don't have the baseball package, but I do have Netflix. I will watch baseball. Maybe particularly, isn't Netflix giving us like a bunch of games?
I would be ignorant if I went along with you. I don't know. I just know that, the Giants have a legendary broadcast crew, and I'm not talking about John Miller on the radio. I'm talking about it's Kuiper and Hamilton, I think, but it's a terrific broadcast crew. Obviously, Michael Kay has just been fetching like crazy that he's not doing opening day on the Yankees network. Okay, but it's the same. I think the Mets are playing the next day. I don't know who they're playing. Okay, but supposedly that game's being televised by a national outlet, so their broadcast crew's not doing it. I will say, for as much as we have come to the conclusion that most of you don't give a damn who's broadcasting games anymore, you seem to when it comes to baseball.
Well, David, I'm going to correct use of the wrong word. I'm going to offer a different opinion because I
Okay.
agree with you that we don't care who's doing games. We complain after the game if we don't like the way the game was announced. But we watch the games that we want to watch. The difference is with every other sport, like you and I prefer the TNT guys on hockey over the ESPN guys.
Correct.
We're still watching on ESPN, though. We may complain about it, but we're still watching.
Yep.
The NFL, wherever it is, we're watching. You NBA fans, if you can find it, you watch whatever network it's on. The difference is, and to a certain degree, like I have ESPN Plus. When I watch a Red Wing game, I watch the Red Wing announcers. I watch my guys.
Right.
Well, baseball is the ultimate sport with your guys.
Yep.
So, from a national standpoint, if you watch a national game, I don't think it matters who the announcers are. But baseball is a sport, particularly for guys like us, David. And, if you're 50 or above, you came from wherever you came from, and you watched your guys all summer long, every night.
Yep.
And when your guys changed, just think about when whoever you're a fan of, Red Sox, Yankees, Twins, Tigers, I don't give a damn. But when they made a change in the booth, it was difficult, at least for a season, to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You had to get used to the new guy.
Yep. I mean, when the Marlins broke up Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton, they got rid of Waltz and greatly reduced Hutton's role and made him more of a studio pre and post guy. And that was only after the fans went crazy. Okay. And we talked about how, man, you don't do this when you're a bad team in baseball, man. You need if those announcers are popular, you got to keep bringing them back until you get good. You got to make sure that you have the announcers that the fans like.
But just to review to what they, we always started with the game on ESPN. So I don't know why Michael Kay's getting all bent out of shape. If his game would have been on ESPN, last year, the ESPN guys would have been doing it. So opening night is on Netflix. The only game that day is Giants and Yankees. So it's going to be the Netflix announcers. On opening day, there are 2 national broadcasts. They are part of the NBC Peacock package.
Okay.
I don't know. What I have does not have which. So the Pirates and Mets is an afternoon game. I have a strange feeling that will be Peacock only, not NBC. I could be wrong.
Right.
But I can't see NBC disrupting programming and local news.
Right.
If you've listened to this show for any length of time, we've explained to you just how much money local news makes for local affiliates. I can't see them telling the 4 and 5 o'clock news they're not going to be on because they're running a national baseball game. They might be, but I'm guessing that's Peacock. And then in prime time, well, the Dodgers are on. They're playing the Diamondbacks, but let's be honest, it's the Dodgers. So the rest of the opening day games are going to be on the local channels.
Correct. But no Joe Davis calling the Dodgers game as they hang up another banner, and no Mets broadcasters, or for that matter, Pirates broadcasters for the Mets Pirates with Skeens. My guess, by the way, Jason Benetti is the new baseball television voice for NBC Sports. We'll be curious. Don't laugh. Where are the Tigers? Because
they're in San Diego.
Well, then he'll get the Dodgers game, because my guess is they'll make travel easier on him.
Right, but I doubt he'll be doing the Tigers game. He won't be doing the Tigers game at 4:10 and getting helicoptered to Chavez Ravine for the game that night, if you know what I mean. So if you're a Tigers fan and you bought the package, you're going to have whoever the substitute is for Tigers opening day.
Right. No, the helicoptering is saved for either Nance or Buck, right?
Or Herb Street.
Yeah, it's a long story. But by the way, it's nice to see that him and the dog are getting some national play in the Marriott ads.
I have to be honest, David, because you and I and our former producer are the only anti-Herb Street people in the country. We are. Everybody else loves him. They do. And I'll die on that hill with you, David. Okay, I will. We'll go back to back and we'll fight it out until we're no longer there. But it pales in comparison to the amount of times that you see Caitlin Clark on these ads. She's on and I will say the pretzel off the forehead of Barkley. Every time I see it, I still find it funny. It's been on nonstop. You can't watch a game without seeing that ad 3 times.
Nope.
And I've watched the tournament from Thursday on. I took 2 breaks. Thursday night for a little bit for some Red Wing hockey, Saturday night for a little bit for some Red Wing hockey, and missed big chunks of both because there were good games going on. Every time I see that ad, when Charles says my head's not a backboard, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. And, and I don't blame Marriott for going Herb Street and the dog because everybody loves the damn dog.
Well, apparently.
I mean, this is both dogs, the first one, the one that died, and this one. They don't even know that a dog died in the middle.
No. Well, he was very broken up by the first one.
And by broken up, he got a new dog an hour later.
Maybe. I might have been sooner. Might have actually had one waiting in the pen. Miller and Moulton. But you're right. That's us. And apparently, although there are a few other folks out there that are jumping on our bandwagon, but yeah, we're very much in the minority. But there you have it.
To those of you that think that the Cincinnati Reds should be opening the season at 1:00, whatever day the season opens, we're on your team too. But those days are long gone. There's a standalone game the night before, but the next day, why the Reds aren't playing the first game? They're playing the Red Sox for opening day, and first pitch is at 4:10. Can someone explain that to me?
All right. Now, when the Reds and the Tigers were playing the first games of the year, because they were the 2 oldest franchises in their respective leagues, so they played the first games of the American and National League on opening day at 1:00 or thereabouts.
Right.
However, that's when opening day was Masters Week. I mean, you go back a couple generations, that opening day was after the Masters. If we're going to be having opening day, I mean, what's Wednesday, the 25th? 11 or 12 games scheduled for Thursday, March 26th. I'm sorry. If we're as much as Miller and Moulton when it comes to baseball, love our tradition, and yes, I'm 137 years old in my soul, but if we're going to be playing now the final week of March, then what Miller and Moulton campaigned for 15 years ago really needs to happen. All of these cold weather cities, like, are you kidding me? The Mets are hosting a game on March 26th. What?
I hope it snows.
I do too. I do too. Okay. I hope Mo Cassara is so freezing so much he moves to Florida by the weekend. Okay. Honestly, what are they doing?
Now the Brewers have a dome, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here are the opening day games. We've got the Giants and the Yankees. It's in San Francisco. So, okay, that is good. The Mets are hosting the Pirates. I hope it snows. The Brewers are hosting the White Sox. Good division matchup. Great. Do what you got to do. Or, well, former division matchup, not anymore. The Cubs are home. Great. Hope it snows there.
Well, exactly.
Twins are at Baltimore. There's no good city for that. The Red Sox are at Cincinnati. Again, snow should be in the forecast. The Tigers are at the Padres. There's one that makes sense.
There you go.
The Angels are at Houston. Both should be hosting teams. Both should be hosting teams.
Of course they should.
The Rays are at the Cardinals, not the other way around. The Rays are at St. Louis.
Now, I will give Major League Baseball. I'm wondering if they, because I think the Rays start with a 9-game road trip, because I think they wanted to give the Trop as much time as possible for getting ready, but they should be in St. Pete anyway.
Okay. The Rangers are at Philadelphia. They've got that one completely backwards. Arizona at LA. Both teams should be hosting. And Cleveland is at Seattle. Get it right, baseball. You're
I
screwing
know.
this up. How many weather delays are we going to have the first week of the season because you're playing in the wrong damn ballpark?
Well, not only that, you expect people to go and sit in the stands for these games? Seriously?
Right, they show up opening day, as we always talk about, David. Day 2 attendance. Check it out.
Yeah, it'll be single digits in a lot of places, under 10,000. Why? It's too damn cold.
Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
NCAA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Raj, I ran one too many there. My bad. That's when the computer screwed up last week on me. Shoot.
I noticed. No biggie, I don't think. Maybe the affiliates might have dumped out. I don't know.
They did. I would think they did.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
You did some voice work, some liners for the Port Charlotte affiliate, right?
I did.
They sent me an email wanting me to do the liners.
Okay.
They made it sound as if, like you did before, ... And I was like,
Maybe they'll rotate both you guys.
well, no, it's
Probably.
funny. His wording, he thinks he's talking to Mark.
That's fine. It's because of this microphone more than anything, Fly Panda. It's echoey. I got to get this. We call them the mic condoms. I was looking to order some right now. I have one at home, but I wouldn't get it till next week. So I may Amazon them. So I have them for Wednesday. I was looking at multiple colors so I could go either green for Michigan State or red for the Red Wings.
By the way, was it Los Mariachis?
Are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? I don't.
The bar and grill.
No. Sorry.
Because that's how it's spelled.
I did. That's not the one I did. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Mine was for a
okay.
different company altogether. That's why I didn't know what you were talking about.
Gotcha. Huh. Interesting. Oh.
I assume we're still coming back at 21, Mark.
Probably not, because I can't. I guess I can. Let me see how to dump out of this. I'm going to try to, Raj. Yeah, we can. I got it. Yes, we are.
All right, cool. Just want to make sure.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts all coming up in about 15 minutes time. I'm Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, what's the thing you've liked best about the tournament thus far? Big Ten dominating, which includes Iowa's upset of Florida last night, the High Point upset, the end of the Kentucky-Santa Clara game, and there was one other one. I forgot it, but it's there.
High
Go
Point,
vote.
Santa Clara. What the heck else did we have up here? Hang
Big
on. I got
Ten
it.
and something else.
Oh, Nebraska in the Sweet 16. It's very
There you
Big Ten heavy.
Yeah. So
Nebraska's winning right now. Not a lot of votes. Probably not a great question. That's on me.
yeah, I contributed, so we'll share the blame on that one.
But Nebraska was my vote. That's what I just think. And it's because of the announcer. It's my soft spot for play-by-play guys, David. Seeing the two players running up to him and the three of them embracing, all jumping up and down like kids, except for this guy, I believe, is got to be close to 70 years old. I mean, he's been doing Nebraska, if he's not in his 70s, been doing Nebraska sports for 41 years.
Right. So it goes back to 86 there. That's pre-Osborne winning the football titles. Right.
Right. So, I mean, he's had success. I'm guessing he called football, so he's seen the best of the best on football Saturdays, but never in basketball. And he was emotional when they won their first game. He truly was.
Yes, he was, even though they won it by 29, and he knew for the better part of an hour that they were going to win. But he just said, you know, you sat there all those years and watched all those other teams and all their dreams coming true, and you couldn't even get that moment one time.
And the other side of it was the High Point kids. And because I was lucky enough to work for a team that won a championship in my first real year full-time on the air and never won another one, never worked for a team that won another title after that, I was kind of laughing at the High Point kids because they were going nuts. I got to give, and I don't know if you watched it, David, but you and I have a thing when the color analyst steps all over the play-by-play guy.
Yep.
Other than the block shot, because the announcer says block, the kid who's doing color goes block, block, block. The kid stayed away at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid, kind of had his arms back like, I'm shutting up. He did his job. And I actually thought the student announcer from High Point had a really good call. He hit every note. He had the excitement. He talked about getting to the round of 32. Let it breathe a little bit. And it's radio because you don't let it breathe as much under it. There are no pitchers. And there's not a huge crowd noise thing because it's High Point. So I thought the kid did a good job. It was one of the viral moments of the early part of the tournament. And I just thought the contrast between he and the old guy for Nebraska is everything that the tournament's about to me.
There's a now famous clip of Kevin Harlan courtside, because there are these announcer cams now all over the place. And Mark, I forget the school 3 years ago that upset Virginia in the first round. I think it was like a 3-14 upset. And there's an inbound pass late and they steal it. And then they come down and they make two passes and the kid hits a three to put them in the lead with just seconds to go. And it's Harlan and it's Stan Van Gundy and trying to think if it was Jim Spinarco. But Harlan, the kid hits the three and he yells, "Oh, wow." And then he takes his arms and he stretches them out and he puts them across Van Gundy and the other partner as if to say, "Don't talk." And Harlan on television lets it breathe for a couple seconds. And then he's got one more line to say, and he says it. And then he takes his arms and brings them to his side as if to say, "Okay, you two yahoos now can say whatever you want, but just don't get in the way of my call."
I love it.
Yep.
And I think, this is two play-by-play guys. And for the most part, David and I did, and I've not done play-by-play in a long time, but the majority of the games I worked alone. I was the play-by-play guy and the color analyst all at the same time. David, you're the same way a lot of the time.
Yep.
Now, when you were doing FGCU home games, you had an analyst with you. When I was doing minor league hockey for the Everblades, I had an analyst with me. But the road games, you're a one-man band, so you don't have to worry about it too much. And when and Kenny Schenkel, what a great guy, rest in peace. He was a great man. Loved him to death. Every goal at home, he stepped all over. He couldn't help it. He got excited. And what are you going to do about a guy that, played, coached, and GM'd in the National Hockey League? Tell him to shut up? Are you kidding me? You let Kenny do whatever the hell he wants. And I know you had similar things when you did FGCU games. You're just like, all right, it is what it is.
Yep. By the way, the late, great Kenny Schenkel there, who out-tanked the New Jersey Devils to make sure the Penguins got Mario Lemieux.
Yep.
And it was quite the battle going down late in the season, too. But Kenny made sure that the Penguins absolutely, positively did not win a thing down the stretch. And the Devils managed like a win and a tie in the last month. And so they end up with Kirk Muller, solid player, was on the 93 Canadians when they won the Cup. Not exactly number 66.
No, and David, you could argue if they don't get Lemieux, is that franchise still in Pittsburgh?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Wouldn't have finished the century in Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, Mark, they've nearly moved twice since Mario played.
He saved
and
him
took
again
over.
as the owner.
Right. And they've nearly moved twice. So absolutely not. That franchise is gone.
So That's a little hockey there. You're sneaking some in. That's kind of like what I did this week, and I snuck a little hockey in. But mostly it's been hoop. That's what we've talked a lot about. The Gators going down. We questioned the way that they handled the last play from a ton of different angles.
I'll tell you what, now I really wish they had pulled their strategy off, because I would have loved to have seen how intentionally fouling up to, but fouling a player who hadn't done much in the game, hadn't played much, and putting that person on the line in the closing seconds down 2 to see how that person handles it. Does he hit both? Would they have gotten out of there? Does he miss one of 2 and the Gators get the rebound and they get out of there with a 1-point win?
Could you imagine, though, if they still lost, so he's going to get grief no matter what happens. But think about it. You're right. They execute it properly. They foul. Somebody nails 2 free throws. They miss their last second shot, go to overtime and lose. He's getting more grief than he's getting today. People would lose their minds.
Right. But I have to admit, as a fan and a media person, I would love to see that strategy play out. I wonder if anybody else will do it.
Not in the East region. I can tell you that. Patino, Izzo, Hurley, Shire, no, not going to happen.
It's an interesting strategy. It
You're
really
right.
is. All right. I mean, Jim Valvano, tie game, final 30 seconds of the West Region Final. He fouls Virginia, thinking there's no way the kid will hit both shots. He didn't, missed one of them. They got the ball back down 1, scored 1-1.
He missed the second one, right? Because it was all 1-1 back then. There was no double bonus.
Right. Missed the second one.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. That's next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea, and by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Man, I got to tell you, people, and I'm not even like talking about the chat room, so calm down before you even hear anything. People just hear what they want these days. Got a text that we hate UConn. I'm like, when did we say we hated UConn? And I'm like, did I say something? Because it would be something I would say. Well, you mentioned St. John's, but not UConn. And I'm like, yeah, David broke down who exceeded expectations by seeding by conference. UConn's a 2. They were supposed to win. What does that have to do with hating UConn? I'm like, you just made it up.
was going to say, I love Hurley.
I do too. He's such a jerk, and I love him.
I really can't stand him.
There you go.
See, there you go.
And there you go. That's great.
I think it was the jawing on court with Zach Edey during a timeout in the national championship game that put it over the edge.
See, but you got a reason behind it. There you go.
And Raj, you guys played pretty well in that game for a long time. You were not beating UConn that night. They were incredible that night.
Yeah, there was really no chance.
And you guys played pretty well.
Hung in there for a bit, yeah.
But they were tremendous. That's funny, Empire. Empire's accusing Raj of setting the text.
Right.
That's funny.
No, it wasn't a text, right? The text was sent to us. Why do you hate UConn? But I see what you're saying. Why, I even sent back to him. I said, we never said. I said, I'm not a big fan of Gino, which I've been pretty open about for nearly 20 years on the air.
Yeah, I love him too.
I know you do. I mean, I don't hate him. He's just, I'm not a fan. I do wonder sometimes, if Don Staley coached UConn, if they'd have all the fans they do in that part of the world.
No. Well, I don't know. If she was that successful, probably.
That's literally why I asked.
By the way, the Wolf came out and said, Greenville, one of the best host places. They should get a sub-regional every year.
Greenville, South Carolina?
Yeah. She said
it's
amazing.
Well, you know how much I like Greenville. And that's going back. That's going back a generation ago when I was actually there. It's an unbelievable downtown.
Yep. She raved about it. You could walk everywhere, and just how good the food was, the people, everything's close. Raved about it.
Wow, JS, you're like one of my buddies who sent me video from there, and I'm like, I can't think of anything I'd rather not do than stand there and watch cars go by. But to each his own.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
"22 minutes till we're done on this Monday. Some breaking news before we get to how we normally end the show. Numerous people, Mark, in the last 10 minutes reporting that the Seahawks, who over the weekend had picked up fifth-year options on JSN and one other player, Well, that means they had him under contract for this year and next. They just added 4 years and $168.6 million to it. That's 42 and change a year. So that's what he'll get in 28, 29, 30, and 31. 120 of the 160 and change is guaranteed. So essentially 3 years guaranteed. So they've got him under contract for 6 more years. 5 of the years are essentially fully guaranteed. The 42 and change mark today would make him the highest paid wide receiver in the game. He's not going to earn it, though, for 2 years.
You know, that could end up being wise because by the time, and I don't know who's coming up under contract between now and then, but I think you could almost guarantee he won't be the highest paid receiver by the time that contract kicks in. Like, I think you can bet on it with the way the cap's going up, with the players that are out there. I don't know when Jefferson's deal comes up, but you know what I'm getting at here, David.
Right. He just redid his a little over a year ago. Obviously, so did the 2 guys in Cincinnati. Here's what's interesting for the Seahawks. I know we got to get to our business, but Darnold's under contract for 2 more. So when Darnold's a free agent, and in theory, instead of paying him in the low 30s, they're going to have to pay him the going rate. That's when JSN's 42 and change starts kicking in. Now, the cap is going up 10, 11% a year. That means the cap a year from now will be 330. And come 2028, it'll be 360-ish.
Closer to 370. I mean, if you're just doing the 10%, David, you know what I mean?
And we haven't gotten to the NFL adding an 18th game, breaking open the deal, and what have you. So just conservatively, JSN right now would probably be about 11% of the Seahawks cap. Darnold will probably end up being around 15% of their cap, but not until 2028.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1775 when Patrick Henry was the first to proclaim, "Give me liberty and lay the points." Oh, I'm sorry. "Give me liberty or give me death," a speech encouraging Virginia troops to join the American Revolutionary War. 1857, that guy Otis, Elijah Otis, installs his first elevator on Broadway in New York City. The next 2, really not good. Today in 1919, Mussolini forms the Fascist Party. And today in 33, Hitler gets dictatorial powers. Neither worked out that well for anybody.
No.
45, the Battle of Okinawa, the largest battle in the Pacific War in World War II. 1948, Kentucky's first championship in the 10th NCAA men's basketball tournament. They would beat Baylor by 16. I don't think Dean Smith was coaching, but I still think they were running the 4 corners here in 57, David, because North Carolina beats Kansas in triple overtime for the title. The final score, 54-53. Wilt Chamberlain, the most outstanding player, the 4th player to be named tournament MVP, despite not playing for the championship team.
It bothered Wilt to his dying day. He had about a year and a half left to live, and he was honored back at Kansas. A raucous afternoon honoring Wilt Chamberlain, and he broke down and cried right there in front of everybody at Allen Fieldhouse and said, "I let you down. I should have delivered that title." Bothered him to the end.
Today in 68, the Bruins of UCLA go back-to-back. They whoop up on North Carolina by 23. this guy named Alcindor, the most outstanding player for the second time. He would do it 3 tournaments in a row. It would have been 4, but he couldn't play as a freshman.
Right. They were just beating the varsity in practice, who would then go on to win the title.
Right. I don't know why my dad liked this guy. I really don't. I've never figured it out. I think he just liked the name, because whenever you asked him what song he wanted to play, he'd say, play me some Conway Twitty. My dad never liked country music. But Hello Darlin' by Conway Twitty was released today in 1970. It was the Billboard Song of the Year. Presley begins his final concert tour today in 77. My mother would actually see that tour in Saginaw. Pink Floyd tops the Hot 100 with Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 today in 1980. They only had one other top 40 hit. I'll bring in our music expert, Raj. Raj, what other top 40 hit did Pink Floyd have?
I'm going with a wild guess here, and I'm going to say Learning to Fly.
Good guess, but it was actually Money, which hit number 13 in 73. A band that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and maybe they'll get in this time. Iron Maiden today in 82 released Number of the Beast, the first with Bruce Dickinson as their lead singer. Reagan introduces Star Wars today in 83. Everybody laughed at him about that. That was like a, what the hell is he doing? It seemed to work out all right. The World League of American Football had their first games today in 91. The Florida Marlins began selling tickets today in 1992. We're still wondering if they've sold any. Gretzky sets an NHL record today in 94, scoring his 802nd goal. Ricky Martin releases Livin' La Vida Loca today in 99. Yep, you all liked it. You can say you didn't. You all sang it. Every single damn one of you.
I saw him in concert because my wife just stared at him, watched him dance on the hood of the car. Opened and closed the concert at the Nassau Coliseum with Livin' La Vida Loca.
So nice. He played it twice. In 2010, Barack Obama signs the Affordable Care Act. And this last one is for David and David only, because it was today in 2023 that Wayne Rooney no longer was England's all-time greatest goal scorer. Because in a 2-1 victory over Italy, do you know who scored, David?
Harry Kane! Harry Kane!
Correct. Joan Crawford, Roger Bannister, who's first with the 4-minute mile, or besting the 4-minute mile. Rick Ocasek, proving that lead singers get great-looking women no matter how ugly they are. And Moses Malone would have all celebrated birthdays today. For those of you that don't know, Rick Ocasek was married to Paulina Porsakova. Ron Jaworski, 75. Shaka Khan is 73. I really just wanted to say Shaka Khan. Gino Ariema is 72. Jason Kidd, 53. Mark Burley, 47. Brandon Marshall is 42. Maurice Jones-Drew is 41. And Kyrie Irving is 34 years old today. What did I miss, David?
I still think Mark Burley could go out and throw about 4 or 5 innings because he never threw hard. So he could go out now and I think pull the Jamie Moyer. He throws strikes. He works quickly. I really think, you know what? World Baseball Classic probably should have used him.
Pitched like 16 years. When I was going through it and looking at, I always go to the football reference, baseball reference. I'm like, he pitched for 16 years.
Threw a perfect game. All right. Against the Rays, I believe they made 2 stupendous defensive plays behind him, including one in the 9th. But yeah, hell of a career. So
miss anything?
No, all right. 2 things. First off, did you have Titanic?
I did not. The movie or the boat?
The movie. Today, it won 11 Academy Awards. Of course, it was a movie about the boat, but that's a whole other story. And Elizabeth Taylor, did you have her?
I did not. She died today, didn't she?
15 years ago at the age of 79.
I leave the death to you, David.
I know you do. You leave the mass shootings and the death to me. You do.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
The deaths sometimes I don't pay attention to. because they're not always on the pages that I go, and I don't look up deaths. But
Oh.
you're right on the mass shootings. I skip those. I skip
Totally.
any big horrible thing of like World
Yep.
War II. It's like, no,
Yep.
I'm not. No one wants to hear it.
No, exactly. I'll leave that for Moulton. He'll throw it in.
Even on the birthdays, when it's someone famous who did something horrific, I don't include them. I'm like, why do we need to bring their name up?
Right.
For the good, we go to Tampa, right here where I am, where two bobcats that got separated from their mother were released 1 year after being separated. The bobcats, which ended up being named Electra and Orion, were released in the Upper Tampa Bay Conservation Park, where they'll have 600 acres to roam, right up until they go into someone's yard and people get freaked out. For the bad, we go to Arlington, Texas, where some students were heading to a music assessment when their bus driver made a wrong turn. The bus driver turned onto a bike path, not the road, because he said his GPS told him to. The bus got stuck in the mud. Police were called to help out and give the police credit. While they couldn't get the bus out, the officer ordered Domino's for all the kids on board. That ends up being a win for the kids. And finally, the ugly, we go to Pensacola. What a treat this woman is. Where Nicolette Kino was arrested by the Pensacola Police Department after doing $5,300 in damage to two Pensacola Airbnbs. She damaged them by photographing and videoing herself urinating on the couches.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Apparently, she thought that her OnlyFans account would think it's a big hit. She ended up being arrested. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, March the 23rd, and it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, offering great pay for new officers, a signing bonus of up to $10,000, other jobs available. For all information, capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Only one hockey game tonight. It's Ottawa and the Rangers at Madison Square Garden.
Let's go, Rangers.
Ottawa on the periphery of the playoffs. They're like, what, 5 points out, which in the East is monumental because everybody's within a point or two. But so an absolute must for the Senators. And the only game tonight, that's weird.
Yeah, bunch tomorrow. Actually,
Yes.
Ottawa's in Detroit tomorrow, so I don't even care if they win tonight. If they're only going to win one, let it be against your Rangers.
So a bunch of NBA tonight. I think we got like 11 games. Magic are home against the Pacers, who have lost like 16, 17 in a row. Heat are home for the Spurs. In fact, that game is on the Peacock NBC Sports Network early game at 7. Mark, this isn't nationally televised. And this is one of the times in which, if they had made this the nationally televised, I wouldn't be going, oh, sure, the Lakers again. Lakers are in Detroit, and the Lakers have won, what, 9 in a row?
9 in a row. I mean, they're clearly in third. They're not going to catch San Antonio, but they are holding off Houston, Denver, Minnesota, who are all 2.5 behind them for the 3 seed.
So after the Heat and the Spurs, the late game on Peacock or the NBC Sports Network is Golden State and Dallas, and still no Steph. Warriors, by the way, finally, all their injuries are taking a toll. They've lost like 7 out of 8. They're 5 games below 500, yet they're comfortably going to be the 10 seed in the play-in out west. So no NCAA tournament tonight. On the men's side, you've got UConn, UCLA, and South Carolina, 3 of the 4 1 seeds who are all in action today and tonight. The women's action starts at noon. I mean, it's all day and night if you're interested in the women's tournament. NIT tonight. If, you really need a hoops fix.
First match of the TGL Finals tonight at 9 o'clock after women's hoop. ESPN2 for what it's worth. Miller and Moulton, Pat Kerwin to talk the National Football League tomorrow. Enjoy your Monday, everybody.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Takori, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Espanol.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thanks, Raj.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Catch you later.
Sounds like a plan, man.